This podcast is created for adult audiences only and contains content that may be alarming to some viewers. Listener discretion is advised. Any badass views or opinions you're about to hear are those of the hosts and do not represent those of the people, institutions, or organizations that the podcast may or may not be associated with. So just don't be a dick. You know what you're getting yourself into.
It's gone weird.
And hello, you little weirdos out there. This is our second intro because my computer fucked up. It was me this time. Not you.
It hasn't been me like most of the time. Have you noticed? But when it is me, you get so mad at me.
I feel like it's always you.
It's usually you. I've had the biggest ones though. I've had the most disruptive, astronomical ones.
Yeah,
that's probably why you're feeling this.
Yours are disruptive.
Mine do.
Mine are just cute little mistakes.
Everything.
Well, welcome back, everybody. We're at part 2, which is part 2.
Yes.
V.2.
Thank you for waiting. It's gonna be worth the wait. Cause why not double the witches? Right?
Double the witches, double the fun.
It's worth it.
It sounds like
double
everybody's always catching up anyways, so I'm sure there's a couple of you that are diehards that listen every time it comes out, so we apologize to you guys specifically.
Yep.
I had a few people that are like, what the fuck? What the heck? I'm like, I don't know
we
what
suck.
to tell you.
We're going to tell you about us. We suck. That's what we do.
We suck. We prioritize self-care, you guys, and you should too.
We do.
Because you're not going to get a good episode if we're feeling like shit one way or another. So.
Nope.
We're feeling great.
Yay.
Feeling 100%, which means I am also have a bunch of allergies right now. That's always my 100%. I'm never not that.
Yeah. But she's at 100%, and she's looking beautiful today. I love your shirt that you have on.
Thank you. It's As
so
are
cute.
you. You got your ladies hanging out?
Yeah, I'm all titties out. That's because I took like a 5-minute shower before I ran over. Threw like the first thing on that was like in my closet, like and threw it on. And it's literally just straight nipples out, so.
Might as well not even put anything on.
I know. I shouldn't have. I should have just came over here, laid it down. So.
Yep.
Adorable.
Whatever. Well, we hope y'all had a little good break as we kind of did.
Yeah.
we were both gonna feel like shit in one way or another.
Yeah.
But welcome
we're glad
back.
to be back. We're glad that we are going to talk about, like I said, second part of witches. Stuff that we were going to have last episode, but it got so long. We wanted to make sure to add it onto this one, and we got some more extra stuff. So you got more stuff than you would have had anyway, which is great.
You do. You got V2 continuation. We're going to load you up with good witchy goodies.
Yay.
All the goodies.
Oh, and some updates first, too, from last episode.
There are some updates. Okay. So, my most interesting update, I'll tell you right now. So remember how I talked about my first kiss being from Jimmy Urine of Mindless Self-Indulgence when I was like 14? Okay. So it made me want to brush up on like what's been going on with them. And holy shit, you guys.
Let me guess. He is in jail for being a pedophile.
Not quite, but you're not far off.
Okay.
So back in 2021, Jimmy Urine, and I found out that's not his real name. His name is James Uringer. So that's close enough. But
I like that he changed it to urine, though. That is very rock and roll.
It is. Cool. It is. It makes sense with Uringer, you know?
Yep.
Whatever. So, not so surprisingly, after my little story, he had a lawsuit filed against him and was charged with sexual battery of a minor.
Yeah. Seen that
I don't
coming
know.
A mile away.
I mean, I don't know why I was surprised to read this because, you know, especially after he made out with me when I was 14. And they also have super questionable lyrics that now feel more like his like inner dialogue about his fantasies and shit about minors more than, you know.
Is it like Kid Rock shit where he writes like, oh, I don't care if you're 17 or whatever? His crazy shit.
Way worse.
Worse than Kid Rock? Oh my goodness.
Way worse. Way worse. Okay, so insert trigger warning here. I'm sure you can tell the kind of shit I'm about to talk about. So if you're sensitive to that, skip forward. Like, this isn't going to take more than 5 minutes or so. So anyways. So this anonymous accuser said she was dating him from 1997 to 1999 when she was just 15 and he was 27.
Yeah.
So there's 12 years between my husband and I, but God damn it, like he wasn't after me when I was 12. That's really gross. I was 23.
Don't care. Like, I feel like if you're above like 21 or whatever, I don't give a fuck. You mean 90?
You should know better.
Yeah, like age. But if someone's under like these ages, that's gross. You're dating a child. Even at 21, you're still a child. Well, it depends on but it's a child.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah.
I know they say above 18, but even that's gross. I say 21.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No teens.
He's got even a song it's called Panty Shot. And it's about, they've got, like, he mentions like 4 or 5-year-olds, you guys. Like, bad.
Ew.
Like, I don't, like, how to, when you're young and, like, you re-listen to songs and you're like, holy shit, I was listening to that when I was, because you're not really listening. You're singing, but you're not absorbing. Completely over my head at that point. Again, I was like 14. I wasn't, no. Anyway.
You weren't thinking. You weren't thinking like that.
No.
That's not even anything that will ever come to your mind.
No. Okay, so this lawsuit claimed that, and I quote, Uringer groomed and manipulated her into believing that his sexually assaultive behavior was not criminal and that by engaging in sexual activity with him, she was actually helping to protect younger girls from sexual assaults.
Oh.
Gross. Is that not sick?
Yeah.
Like,
that's
you better have
terrible
sex
to put
with
on
me.
someone.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
you're so
15
fucked up. What a
and
manipulating asshole.
yeah, you have sex with me, so I don't have sex with 5-year-olds.
Well, I don't know how your feelings were, but like, were you like, oh my god, this guy kissed me? Like, were you excited about it?
Oh yeah, I was a fan. I was just like, well, I was startled at first, but then I was like, oh my gosh, like I was like starstruck.
You could have easily, like, he probably could have got in there instantly, quickly.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ugh, I hate these men. They're so gross. I hate them. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's nasty.
It's so easy. It's so nasty.
Yeah, so along with like all the stuff you would assume happens in a romantic relationship with a couple, aka, you fucking and stuff.
Yeah.
Jimmy allegedly also would ask her to act like a small child, suck her thumb, and pee her pants while they were being intimate.
Oh my god.
You guys, this is so bad. And I'm going to say allegedly, but like still, fuck.
Yeah.
You can't, like, especially after all his lyrics and songs, you're like, I don't find that hard. Yeah, that's not hard to believe. Mm-hmm. And he is married and has twin daughters that are only 6 years old now, you guys. Like,
I hope to God they're not around him.
Yeah. No, it's terrible. Yeah. So, and okay. So remember during the story, I was like, fun fact, he had a small role in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
So, little man by the name of James Gunn directed Guardians of the Galaxy. Most people know him. He directs big blockbuster movies. He's a great director. He makes good movies, but he's kind of an asshole. I think he was fired, if I'm remembering correctly. It might not be, but I think he was fired from the third Guardians of the Galaxy because some of his super old, like, offensive, racist, pedophilic tweets started resurfacing. And people were like, no. Yeah. And Disney was like, Mm-hmm. But he's back making movies and shit now. Like, I think he's making the new Superman, maybe? Anyway.
Always get swept under the rug. Just give us a little time, and then it's like people forget that you're gross.
Yeah, I guess people are just like, appreciate the art, not the artist. Because he does make goddamn good movies. But
well, then watch his old movies. Don't make him make new movies.
Yeah. Okay, so that's not even the worst part. So Jimmy Urine had a side role in Guardians of the Galaxy with James Gunn. Obviously had these, offensive tweets. But James Gunn apparently held a party with the theme of, get this, pedophiles and their victims, like dress like a child and dress like a pedophile. Wow. And guess who was in attendance?
Yep. I've
Jimmy
seen this coming.
fucking urine. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
James Gunn was dressed as a priest, which, you know, is kind of on point. And it's assumed that Jimmy is dressed in this like bunny costume or something like that. But it's fucking sick. So he's allegedly a shitty person. They settled out of court. So he was never really, nothing really ever happened. But yeah, fuck.
Well, you dodged a bullet.
Dodged a bullet.
You dodged a bullet.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep.
Criminals. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy about the party. See, I'm one of those people always say, don't kink shame, go do your thing. But if they're adults, like you're not with adults, you're not doing this. You obviously have these fantasies. You're fucking nasty.
Yeah. Gross. Yeah. I don't call pedophilia a kink that is acceptable.
No.
Sorry, you guys.
Absolutely not.
Mm-mm. You can't hide under that, guys.
No.
So yeah, so that was just my little update after we recorded it. I was like, oh, let's just see what MSI has been up to, and I was like, oh my god,
needed to know. We needed to know. All makes sense.
Needed to know. Yep.
Are we shocked? No,
we're not that shocked, but also grossed out.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that was just my little update. And if you want to do a little death news, we could dive into that right now.
Let's do it.
All right, ready? Welcome to the death news. All right. So it's been kind of slow, you guys. Apparently, when things get warm, people don't die, which is weird because you would assume the opposite, like start having heat strokes and shit.
Right after the holidays, right?
Yep. Q4 in the beginning of the first quarter was pretty busy, and now we are, like I heard there were 2 deaths last June that we handled. I was like,
wow.
Yeah, that's not going to be cool for my bank account. So,
yeah, well, it's because of sunshine and happiness.
Yeah.
Which I was telling Nicole before we started, I'm like, I just have seasonal depression. I'm in Minnesota. I'm just ready for this to end. Yeah, that's what it is. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So it's going to get sunny out.
Need to be done. Yeah. So yeah, it's been a little bit slow. I had 1 after hours pickup in the last over a month. I've done a couple while I was working in the office, but they've been pretty, I don't know, pretty boring. Like just going to the morgue, you know, nothing special. But there was a couple things that happened in the office that were interesting. So there was a woman that had died, and we had embalmed her, and her family brought her clothes, and Em needed some help getting her clothes on because obviously bodies are very stiff, and sometimes you need assistance because it's like dressing a Barbie. Like, you know, her arms are straight and you're trying to bend them and it's just not working.
Okay, is it like new Barbie where they're very plastic and you can't bend the arms on new Barbies, but the old Barbies had those really cool like choppy arms?
Yeah, they're pretty much straight.
They're
unless maybe they've got their hands on their chest and they're kind of bent. Anyway, it's fucking hard. So we put this woman's shirt on, and we quickly realized that they brought a very sheer blouse with nothing underneath. Did not bring a bra, like nothing. So when we put this fucking, trying to put it on, we're like, her hard ass titties are gonna be just poking out of this shirt. Like, this is not okay.
Were they like great titties? Maybe they're like, she really loved her titties. She really wanted to make sure everyone saw those titties.
They were not. She was an older woman, so when she's laying flat, they're just kind of like flattened and splayed, but the nipples are hard because they've been embalmed, and it wasn't a good look. Yeah. And of course, since they've been embalmed, they're stuck where they are. You know, they're just kind of flat, and it's not a great look.
Oh,
we happen to have a slip.
Mine would just be like this. It would be so disappointing if I die.
Die with a bra on, or make sure your family brings one. So we had a slip that we put under, and that kind of helped. But then when we realized she had, so when you're embalmed, you have an incision that goes right around your jugular, where we put on all the fluids and everything like that. So there's a pretty nasty gash that's like stitched up. Not very pretty. It's very Frankenstein. And it was just right for everybody to see. Like, it was low cut, sheer blouse. Like, they weren't thinking. And I guess that's not, I mean, families don't. When they're in grief, they're not thinking about their loved one's boobs and incisions from their embalming scars and shit. So I'm here to tell everybody.
We would, though.
Please, when you or your loved ones die, make sure you have an appropriate outfit planned with a high neck or a scarf or just not sheer. So anyways, we're trying to get this shirt on, and we have to roll her onto her side to get part of it on. And she must not have been aspirated well enough, because the minute we rolled her onto her side, a bunch of like smelly purge just came flowing out of her mouth. And I was like, and it started coming out of her nose, and we're just like, oh, fuck. You could hear it start dripping on the floor, and we're like, we have her blouse. We're trying to not get anything dirty. And we're like, oh my God.
So that does happen even after being embalmed, huh?
It does, yeah. Like, especially if you're A, not aspirated good enough, and B, whoever embalmed her did not plug her up, so to speak. She didn't get cotton in her mouth or in her nose or in her,
miss some steps.
Other orifices. Mm-hmm. They didn't even bring her pants. She had no pants or underwear on. They just brought a sheer blouse, and that's it.
Oh, no.
So she had no pants on, and we were tipping her over. We realized, like, she wasn't even cleaned off. Like, she had shit, like dried shit in between her legs.
Oh, this poor woman.
I know. We're just like, oh my gosh. It was just a fucking mess. So, yeah, whoever embalmed her was getting a talking to after that one, because he did not, you could tell he cut corners. Definitely cut some corners.
Well, I feel bad. It's good that it was you guys and not the family. Because you know what I mean? Like, some families like to kind of be involved. Like, the people I know who have passed away have kind of wanted to be there and help put clothes on and stuff.
Yeah,
so
some cultures come and wash the body,
Yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I had to leave to go pick Violet up. So I told Em, I like helped her as much as I can. I was like, I don't know if there's anything else I can do, but I got to go. I'm sorry. I wish I could help you more. And when I came back the next day, she was in her casket in the visitation room, ready for her family to see. And I went and looked at her, and I was like, oh my God, she looks so much better. I don't know what Em did, but like, she fixed everything. You couldn't see her scar. Her blouse was fixed. Her face, she had makeup and hair. It's just like none of it happened. All the behind the scenes shit y'all don't see. So, moral of the story, everybody, to save some grief on the funeral home, please bring appropriate clothing for your loved one. A couple options, maybe. They don't have to have pants. If you don't want them to have pants, you don't have to. With nipple tassels, whatever.
Yeah.
Totally fine. But yeah, that was a little purge, poo, and low-cut shirts. Oof.
Oh.
Yep. So, that happened. And I told you before we started recording, and we did a little photo shoot inside the new location. So I had my photos done.
They're so pretty. I love them.
I'll share a couple. I had a funny one taken in the embalming room, but it was just from my personal collection, just as like a joke, because my boss would be like, we can't put that on the website. Like,
to
whatever,
me,
it's just
it looks such like a Scully picture, so I'm going to find one and put it next to this one. I'm going to find a good one that
good Scully
to me is similar. Yes, because
with my pantsuit on.
It's great. It's like the perfect Scully background.
Scully background, yeah, it's totally, yeah. So that was kind of fun, and I had gotten to witness and participate in my first Hindu funeral, which was fascinating.
I love the Hindu faith. It's just one of the best. What I've seen, at least, it just seems so peaceful.
It was great, and I honestly kind of love seeing my coworkers squirm about the difference in cultural things, because I love it, and they're like, oh, this incense stinks and stuff like that. I'm like, I think it smells good. It smells like sandalwood. So they came the day before, and they helped wash the body, and And then during their funeral, they take their shoes off and they did a whole ceremony. And during this time, they've got, they have these sacred ashes and this sandalwood paste that's applied to the forehead. It almost looks like a mud facial that they put on the body. And the body's adorned with flowers and tulsi leaves. And it's just really beautiful. They do lots of singing and chanting, lots of flowers put in. Everybody puts their flowers in and they grieve very openly. And it was just beautiful. And I loved seeing that. And I didn't know that they were live streaming it on YouTube. So now it's on YouTube and it's like, there's like hundreds of views and I'm like just on camera and I'm like, oh, cool. Well, I guess,
I wonder if they did that for like families, you know, in different areas, just so you can watch it, you know?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure they had a ton. Yeah, they had a ton of family that was in India, you know, that couldn't attend the funeral. But it was a big funeral. It was packed. They were wearing their beautiful regalia. It was really pretty. When the ceremony was done in the chapel, we all walked out to the crematory because they wanted to view the cremation. And the oldest son is the one that helps with the ceremony. So he was helping roll the casket with me and my coworker, and we rolled it all the way out to the crematory. But before they got there, we stopped in the parking lot and they did this, I don't know what it's called. I'm sure I could Google it, but it's like this water jug ceremony where they have this clay jug full of water and it's got a hole in the back of the jug. So it's leaking water and he holds it. The oldest son holds it on his shoulder and walks around the casket chanting something, probably 3, 4, 5 times, and lets the water out. And then when he's done circling the casket, he drops the jug behind his back and lets it shatter all over the parking lot. And then that's the end of that part of the ceremony. It was really, really neat to watch.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm sure my coworkers were like, but they better clean that up because we're going to pop our tires on this. But it was really cool to see. And I know there was a really beautiful significance to it. Just starting their new life. And it was awesome. So then they were in this, they were in a rental casket because if you don't know, most funeral homes will let you rent a casket if you don't want to buy one. It's significantly cheaper, especially for situations like this where you're going to have a service, but then they're going to be cremated, because he was embalmed as well, which was kind of interesting because they're not always embalmed when it comes to Hindu funerals. So I think it was probably because I think they probably had people coming in and needed to wait a little bit more of an extended time for family to get there. And you have to embalm after a certain amount of time. I think it's 72 hours, but I have to look that up. Anyway, so we're all out in the crematory and the family's, you know, still doing their ceremony and chanting and their mourning. And they do this next sort of part where they light incense and then they close the casket, or they had like this like little candle. And M was just like, kind of went up to them really quick and was like, hey, like, I'm sorry, like, we can't close the casket with this candle in it because we're, you know, we could light it on fire. And it's a rental casket. And I don't want to call him a priest, but you know what I'm trying to say, the officiant of this funeral was like, oh, it's just part, we'll open it right back up again. And she's like, okay. Like, because he was a little pushy about things being done right, which is like totally fine. But we're like, okay, we're just warning you.
It's probably a thing where it's like, if they don't do it right, maybe I'm just thinking of Egyptian stuff where it's like, okay, we have to put all this food in a certain place so that they have that. 'Cause if we don't do it, they're not going to have that in the afterlife, or they're not going to have this special thing in the afterlife. So he's probably thinking like, if I don't do this, I'm fucking up their afterlife. I don't know if it's the same, but it totally could be.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it obviously means something.
Yeah.
So, so they went ahead and opened it back up after about a minute or so. And then we unloaded him from the casket and we put him on the cremation machine and we pushed him into the retort. And I think the son got to press the button and all the mourning started and that was it. But it was really, really fascinating. It was really cool to watch. But unfortunately, they did burn the rental casket. So I don't know
Probably have to pay for it.
I don't know if my boss made them pay for it. I don't know if he has to get a new casket. It was just the fabric lining on the cover, like on the top. So when they closed it, there was it was like the size of a quarter. It was just, it burned through the fabric. So maybe they could just replace the fabric and not charge them like $4,000, $5,000 for this oak casket, you know? So we'll see. But that kind of sucked. We knew something was going to happen and Em tried. So I was like, I got you. I know. Yeah. It's even on camera. It's on YouTube right now. Her being like, well, in case my boss is like, you should have told them.
No, I just need to see that part where she runs up.
Yeah. I'll send it to you. I'll send you the video. I could probably even post it. I could post a little part of it because it's on YouTube because it's public, you know, right? With permission? I don't know. Anyway, so that was really interesting. And then I guess my last little piece of death news is that Violet saw her first dead body.
Oh, she did.
She did.
How'd she? How was that? What happened?
So it wasn't really planned. She had come to work with me because she had the day off or something, and Daniel was busy. And I was like, well, you can just come with me. It was actually the day of this Hindu funeral. So she was we put her in the office. She played on her iPad for a while. And we were shutting the place down. And I told her, I was like, stay in this hallway. I was like, I have to check in this room to make sure I've shut the lights off and shut everything down. And I'm like, but there could be stuff in here. So I just want you to stay in the hallway. So she did. And then I opened the door, and then I opened the door to the embalming room to make sure everything. And of course, curiosity killed the cat. She starts peeking her head through, and she sees the dead body, and she's like, "Is that person dead?" And I was like, "Yes." I was like, "Do you want to see?" She was like, "Yeah."
Yay.
I was like, "All right." I said, "Well, you can't come in the embalming room because it's not allowed, but you can see it. She can see from the hallway." So I turned the lights on, and it was just a little old lady. She was on the embalming table. She was fully dressed. And I was like, I said, let me check really quick. Let me make sure she's not like bleeding from the mouth or purging or anything. And she wasn't. She just looked like she was asleep. And she's like, yeah, she did. I'm like, yeah. She's like, so she's not going to wake up. And I'm like, nope. She's just like, she's sleeping forever.
I just thought of the bestest prank. You should have had someone laying there. And then have your daughter come in. Like she did, she's totally never come. And then I was like,
scarred for life.
Oh, it'd be so good.
Oh my god. Okay. I'm determined to do this to somebody else that's not my child.
Yes. You got it.
Oh my god. That would involve getting on the gross embalming table, but I could pay somebody to do it.
Yeah. Do to Daniel.
Oh my god, it's funny. That's funny. Yeah. So yeah, she saw that woman, and then there was actually 2 other people in the building, because she ended up running into the chapel, because she likes to see the chapel and the giant ceilings and the stained glass. And there was a man in his casket just waiting for his funeral the next day, and that man happened to actually have, I think he had neck cancer, so he had a big tumor on his neck, and then half of his jaw was like removed. So he looked, and we did a little reconstruction to try to make him look a little bit more normal, but you could tell he still looked very disfigured.
Was he like that before death then, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Probably had it removed. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, because in some of his photos, you could tell he was wearing a face mask because I think he was really self-conscious about it. So I told Violet before she saw him, I was like, so you know, he does look a little different. Like he had cancer in his face, and I kind of warned her. She's like, okay. And she looked and she goes, what did he do? Like, as in like, what did he do in his life? Like, what was he? And I was like, he was actually a doctor. And she was like, I had real questions. I was really surprised.
Nice.
Yeah. So she has seen 3 dead bodies.
Okay. Well, it's good how she handled it too. And it's good how you handled it. I feel like Ella would be exact opposite. I think she'd be like, no, I don't want to see. She'd be crying, screaming.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she can't even see a dot of blood. Like on her, on me, on an animal, like, and it could be nothing. But
Well,
she freaks.
Violet's actually kind of like that too, with
Really?
blood and like injuries. She's very, like, I played a prank on her once where I pretended like I cut my finger and had ketchup all over it, and she started like bawling, like she was so scared for me.
Oh, so she'd
And I,
really
like,
freak the fuck out about the jumping dead body.
yeah, she would.
Even better.
I think maybe because I talk about death so openly with her, and I've kind of normalized it, so it's taken a lot of the stigma and the mystery and the fear out of it for her, which I think is good.
Yeah.
I mean, she also obviously needs a healthy dose of fear because, you know, I don't want her to go dying or anything, you know. But I think that's helped sort of desensitize a little bit, I guess, if you want to say. And I'm not the only one. Like, my coworker, she's got like 6 kids, and she had her 14-year-old come to work with her the other day, and she works in the crematories, and she told her daughter not to look. She's like, you don't have to look, you know. But eventually her daughter got curious too and started looking, and Em noticed she was looking. So she's like, well, do you want to see? And do you have questions? And she had lots of questions, and she got to go right up close with this body that was pretty much naked and going into the fucking retort. So she was seeing some intense shit for 14. But I don't know. I think it's good in a way.
It is just good. It is normal. Maybe
it.
Ella would act that way then, because I do normalize death for her a lot. She does like her paranormal shows, you know. So maybe she wouldn't. Who knows?
I'm kind of glad that the first dead body that she saw was not like one of her family members. You know, like her grandpa or her grandma or who knows, because that really sticks with you, and it will in the future. But I don't know. I feel like it helped. So
yeah, for sure. Ella's only seen her grandpa in ash form, like he was cremated, and we put him in the ground. But we go and we visit there a lot, and we talk to him a lot. Or if something like we always say, our cat. I'm for sure Charlie. We always say Charlie brought our cat, our one little kitten who's so sweet and loves Ella so much. So like she is very connected in that way. So, which I think's a good thing. Like you said, I think it's smart not to make death scary. It's normal. Well, we talk about that all the time. How normal it should be.
Yeah. And shit, you know, I don't talk 100% openly about everything I do around her. If things are like really nasty and gory and bloody, I don't like share that with her, but I'm very open with like, yep, I'm going to go pick somebody up now. And yep, that's what I did today. I had to pick a guy up from the hospital. And so I'm fairly open with everything I do. So I think that helps. She tells her friends that I work at a cemetery. I'm like, well, I mean, I guess I kind of do. We own a cemetery, so it's kind of accurate. Whatever. When we were at the park the other day, it was after work, and I pick her up in the body van. So she rides to school there and back every day in the van that I pick.
Ever had a dead body in it? Would you pick her up yet?
No, and
maybe one day.
I don't know if I would, or if I'm allowed, or if she'd want that. I don't know. In a pinch, maybe, if I had no other option. Yeah. Who knows? I don't know. But we were at the park, and I was sitting in the van, and the van overlooks the park, so I'm kind of watching her. I kind of stay in there sometimes because my allergies and the pollen, so I'm like, I watch her from the van. And she came running up with one of her little friends from school. It was in their class, and she's like, Mom, can we show Levi the van? And I was like, you want to show him the van? She's like, yeah. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, yes. So I like opened up the back, and there's a gurney back there, and he was like, whoa. And she was like, yep, that's it. And then they closed it and they ran off. I was like,
I would love to be in the conversations what she tells people. You know, like when I always love hearing young kids' conversations when they don't know parents are there. It's like one of my favorite things. And I know I shouldn't love it.
It's the best.
It's the best. But I would love to hear her like talking about your job and like, yeah, my mom. Dead body. She brings dead bodies to the cemetery or like something fun. Kids like, no way. What?
I know. No way. Yeah. I asked her if she told anybody she saw a dead body, and she said no. But that was a couple weeks ago. Who knows? Maybe she shared it with like her bestie or something.
Well, yeah, you'd have to tell everyone you saw a dead body.
Yeah, I mean, I would if I was in school. I'd be like, guess what? The first thing I'm telling them on Monday morning.
Right. I'd be like, I saw so many dead bodies this weekend.
And then her friends are going to go home and tell their parents, and I'm going to start getting phone calls.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. It's my job. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, now there's quick. Guess what happened to me yesterday?
What?
Got in a fucking car accident in the body van.
You in car accidents. You love a car accident.
I've never been in a.
I've never car accidents that anyone have ever known.
Okay, so I've been in. I think I've only been in 2.
I feel like you've been in so many. I don't know why. I just feel like you've been in so many car accidents.
I've been in 2. I've been rear-ended pretty intensely twice. Like both times I was rear-ended was at like at least between 50 and 60 miles an hour. This time it was my fault. I rear-ended somebody else. But let me tell you, it was not that big of a deal. We were at a red light. We were both turning right, and we were yielding to the people that, we were trying to get in that traffic. We're checking our blind spots. The guy in front of me starts to go because it's clear. So I see him start to go. So I go to check my blind spot so I can go. I see that it's clear. So I start going, but I put the gas on before, like a half a second before I turn my head to look straight to drive. He had put his brakes on for some fucking reason. He was supposed to be going. He started going. He hit his brakes. I booped him. I booped him in the butt.
Fuck that guy. His fault.
Fuck that guy.
His fault.
I was going less than a mile an hour. I'm telling you. It was from a stop. I wasn't driving. It was from a stop. And I pull over and I was like, I'm so sorry. This is completely my fault. And he goes, oh, my back. Oh, my back. And I'm like, oh, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
No. Come on. I'm ready to be nice about this. Like, I came up and asked how you are. I was like, it's my fault. Like, let's pull off somewhere else where it's safer because we're going to get hit and killed on this road because it is like people are going 55 on this road. No, he wanted to file a fucking police report. There was 0 damage.
You never know.
Maybe. We could have been.
Yep.
Yeah, it was bullshit. So thankfully my boss was not as mad as I thought he'd be. But yeah, it was not a big deal, but it definitely fucking sucked.
You could see damage. I mean, that's kind of like the one time I rear-ended somebody. It was crazy. I was driving home from work and they were just going, it was a normal highway, like 55, going. And then all of a sudden they just stopped on their brakes randomly, just bam. I was like, what?
It's like, what am I supposed to do? I don't have enough time to react.
No.
Yep. Yeah. It
Not my
sucks.
fault.
No, even when he was talking about he hurt his back, the officer was like, from what? Like they looked at him like, I know what you're doing too. He had not a scratch on his bumper. There was nothing. Yeah, no, that was dumb. That was my first accident that I caused. So, it is what it is. It happened. It's done. Being from Minnesota, like little boot fender benders happen all the time, especially in the winter, like when you're sliding on ice.
See, that's not true, which is why Nicole is the one I'm talking about.
I told
all
you
the time. No, it doesn't.
On the ice when you're coming to a stop.
No.
I haven't done it personally, but I've had people boot my back because we're coming to a stop and it's pure ice and like it's a stop sign and they roll right into me.
No.
You guys, we're going to take a poll.
Not true. We need to do a poll.
We're taking a poll, especially for y'all that live in Minnesota.
No.
But I mean, my whole point is that like, it's happened to me before where, I'm heading to work. I'm at a stop sign. It's pure ice. It's a fucking ice rink. And the person behind me, we're all going 2 miles an hour, but it's ice and they can't stop. And they booped me at 1 mile an hour. We both get out. We both check. And they're like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, girl, there's no damage. Let's go. Like, not a big deal. We were both headed to work. It was a 2-second thing and we're both on our way. Like, we don't need to get the police involved. We don't need to make a report. We're not trying to fuck each other over.
Oh my God. I had this woman who backed into me at the DMV, actually, and none of our vehicles it was completely fine. Like, everything was completely fine. We agreed. I still gave her, I'm like, if something happens, here's my insurance information. We gave it to each other. It's a no-fault state, so it doesn't matter in Minnesota, which fucking sucks. but it doesn't matter. And then it was like months and months. We wouldn't even thought about it. There wasn't even a scratch. There wasn't a fucking scratch. It was really light, like a boop. That she backed in, like, her bumper into me. She called and, like, was like, I need, like, $2,000 for this and $3,000. And it was like,
bullshit.
What the hell? And it was like, I could either pay her and I check or go through my insurance, which is so cheap, and I didn't want it to be on my record. It was like a whole thing. I'm like, you're a fucking liar. I shouldn't have gave her my stuff. I shouldn't have gave her. I'm too nice. Too nice.
Too nice.
Too nice. Fuck those.
Total bullshit.
Right?
You know, that reminds me that I lied. I completely forgot I was in one more at-fault accident.
Yeah, you were.
So this was my second. The first one was when we were going to school together. It was in Kennedy. It was in the Kennedy parking lot in high school. And I had driven my stepmom's van to work the first time. I was like, fuck yeah, I don't have to take the city bus to school. I get to drive the van. And my depth perception was off when I was turning from the pickup line. Mm-hmm. And I like scraped against the side of this guy's car, and he got out and he's like, what the fuck? But again, there was no damage on his truck, and he made a huge deal about it too. Even my dad was just like, there's not a fucking thing with the bullshit. So anyway, yeah, I've gotten into and I've had to. So many.
Whatever. And she just randomly hits people in the winter because that's what we do here.
Okay, I've never hit anybody in the winter.
That's just, we bumper car around these parts.
Did I tell you the craziest thing that happened to me in the winter driving in Minnesota? Driving down 55, headed to Minneapolis downtown. That 55, you're going 55, 60 miles an hour, but there's stoplights on that fucking highway, which suck.
It was a stupid highway.
It was a black ice kind of day, and the light turned yellow. I'm going 55. I was like, I can't make this. Like, I need to slow down. So I hit my brakes a little bit. It wasn't even a lot. It was like I started just tapping them, but I hit a patch of black ice. I did a fucking 360 in the middle of the intersection on 55, fully turned around. I peed my fucking pants. I was so scared. I was screaming. I started crying. I was like, oh my God.
That same exact thing pretty much happened to me, and that was going to be what I saw as my scariest. It was a winter. It was coming off, going on to 13 from 94. Doesn't matter to you guys. But it was such a small little area, and all of a sudden, and there was a truck right behind me. I did a complete 360. And I somehow, and it was going up a hill, coming up a hill. So that's scary in the winter because I could have went down the hill. I somehow all of a sudden opened my eyes and saw, oh my God, I'm straight forward and I can just start going forward.
I know.
Again. But it's
so disorienting.
You're just like, what the fuck? And then the truck behind me, who had a great huge truck. I had my small little Taurus. He had a huge truck, just drove past me while I was doing this somehow.
Easy peasy. Yeah.
And just didn't even check if I was okay. Just kept going. I was like, holy shit.
He's probably looking at you like that fucking idiot.
So scary. Oh my God.
Oh,
I get it.
That's a huge reason I moved to Alabama. I don't want to deal with that fucking ice anymore.
Oh. Well, I don't go anywhere. You gotta be like me.
That's true.
I hibernate. I hibernate in the winter if I can. So I need to find a job at home. I just want to sit at home and do nothing. Hibernate.
I don't blame you there.
Right?
I don't blame you there.
Right?
Well, with that I think that concludes my death news. So thank you for coming to Nicole's Death News.
Right, I'm really excited about this. So the whole reason that we decided to do witches in the first place was because I watched this little snippet on Amish Witches. And I was like, Nicole, I really got to talk about Amish Witches. I'm totally into this. They are super cool. So that is what I'm doing. Amish Witches today.
Heck yes.
I'm very excited.
Heck yes, bro.
When you were talking about the Appalachian witches, there's so much similarities. Like everything you were saying about them, I'm like, oh my God. Like those, just the way they practice everything, you're going to see a lot of similarities. So
between the Amish and the Appalachian?
Absolutely. Appalachian. But so Amish witches actually refer to themselves as the name Baroha. I actually had to look it up because it's spelled like broche, like the pin, but you call it Baroha.
Brooch.
Yeah,
Baroha.
which is pretty cool.
Interesting.
So I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about the Amish, just so you know. I think everyone knows who they are. I live around a lot of Amish folks, and they are super polite. They're always like at our farmers markets here. They're very neat people. Amish people have traditions with Old Testament style Christian values. So Amish have been described by certain scholars as ethno-religious group, which means combining ethnicity, culture, and Christian denomination together.
Okay.
So how I'll describe that is when someone says I'm Jewish, that could be their literal heritage, their blood, or they could just be in the Jewish religion, or they could be both.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the same thing when I was talking about ethno-religious, if you can be all things.
Sure.
Which is pretty neat.
Yeah.
So the Amish church began in Switzerland in 1693. So it's been around forever. During the second half of the 19th century, the Amish actually divided into the Old World Order and then Amish Mennonites. So you probably have seen that, where there's the Amish people who are in the full gowns, and then there's Mennonites who, they're considered like little rebels. Like they're allowed to have like cars and electricity and everything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not what you picture when you think of Amish people.
No, I actually had so many people. I had a lot of Mennonite women who would come to the bank when I was a banker. And I was their banker, and you would never know. Like the clothes, everything like that. But they do the same Christian values. They're just a lot less strict about having to have everything be so, old century.
Strict, yeah.
Type of deal. Very, very strict. So, like I said, the main difference is Mennonites, they still have the traditional values, but they use electronics, where the Amish, on the other hand, are strict traditional. They still worship in German, which was their native language. Like, you have to know German to even go to their churches. They have their own language called Pennsylvania Dutch. They use buggies for transportation. I think that's what a lot of people, comes to their mind, is seeing the buggies down the streets.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But these are really like
big old beards.
Yeah. So to keep things plain and simple, they do their homemade clothes, no mirrors, self-sufficient. I can go on and on about the Amish and their histories. Maybe one day we'll do it, but I just want to give you a little update, what they did. So the Amish began immigrating to North America in the early 18th century, where they first settled in Pennsylvania. Now, early colonial Pennsylvania was like a melting pot of different, various religions, just like how we talked about the Appalachians, where there was native people there, and there was just different religions all kind of living together, that melting pot. It was exactly the same for the Amish here. There was Quakers, Lutheran, German Reformed, Catholics, all manner of religious people and freethinkers. So kind of cool with the U.S. That's what we kind of started with. Or we wanted to start with. We believed we were trying to. The government.
Lutherans. That's how I grew up. I grew up Lutheran.
Same with the hubby. So there are now more than 200 Old Order Amish settlements throughout the United States and Canada. The largest one is still located in Pennsylvania, but they're even in my state in Minnesota, Ohio, a lot of the Midwest. Wisconsin, part of Maine.
Yep.
So, fun fact, which I thought was pretty badass.
Love a fun fact.
The Amish are one of the fastest growing population groups in all of America. All of America.
Really?
They had a population in 1920 of only 5,000, and there's over 300,000 today.
Wow.
You think it would be opposite, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you would.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Much of the growth has actually been the last 3 decades. It's estimated that there was 84,000 Amish in 1984, and the population more than tripled from then. So that's a lot.
Wow. Yeah. That's insane.
It's pretty much because they believe in large families. It's a blessing from God. So they try to have as many children as they can. So people are just banging really hard to get those farm families out. Is what I think's happening.
Yeah, keep it up.
Yeah. So in their community, there are no church buildings like how we see in Catholics and Lutherans. They don't do
chapels.
Yeah, no chapels at all. Each district has 1 bishop, 2 to 4 preachers, and an elder. So they keep things small and very secretive. They don't have more than that.
Yeah.
They really don't go to Western doctors, but they do sometimes, but they are considered the healthiest people in America. So
I believe that.
How can that be? Is it their diets? Is it their simple living? Or is it the Baroja witches?
The Baroja witches.
And how they help their communities.
I'm going to go with C.
Sí, señor. So Baroja became a practice when the Germans came here in about the 1820s. A Johann Georg Humann actually published a book of prayers called Long Lost Friend. So the purpose of this book and its contents were meant to be used in like times of sickness or when people needed, just health, needed some help. In it was written, whoever carries this book with them is safe from all his enemies, visible and invisible. And whoever has this book with him cannot die without the holy corpse of Jesus Christ, nor be drowned in any water, burn up in any fire, nor can any unjust sentence be passed upon him, so help me. So this Joanne was like the original Boraha, or wizard in their community. Some considered him like a hex doctor, or what we heard about the Appalachians, a powwow doctor.
Powwow doctor.
Yes. So like we talked about, we called himself a powwow doctor, and a lot of people connected it because of local Native Americans. So
they did connect it
to
the natives, whereas the Appalachians did not. It just shared this name.
Yes. But the Amish people do say, including their original Raha Joanne, that this was their connecting their Native American, learnings of, health and everything coming to this country. And I think it's cool that they connect them. I don't know if a lot of people know, and I know that my reservation has a lot of Amish people around it. Like they pretty much live together, and you'll see that a lot through the Midwest where Native reservations are connected with a lot of Amish reservations, and it's always been like that because they work together even from when they first started. Because it was the Amish people that were coming here and killing people.
Yeah.
It wasn't. They're actually very, very respectful people, it sounds like, even men, which is pretty great to see that.
Yeah.
So a Dr. David Cribble conducted like an investigation on like the study of powwow magic and actually noted powwowing rituals involve the use of one or more acts, which I've classified as verbal, like incantations, somatic gestures, bodies in position, and material, manipulation of physical objects, like moving physical objects.
Yeah.
Every live-in powwower I have interviewed has his or her recipes committed to memory, and none of them use any of the charm books described above or any written sources historically employed by powwowers. It can be speculated that the decline in the use of such books is a result of the 1929 York witch trial that calls for superstitions to be eradicated by the introduction. So after the witch trials, they were very scared people. They didn't want people...
scared it out of them.
Yeah. So they...
Or out of their public dealings.
Absolutely. So that's why a lot of people don't know about them. They are really hidden since then. They don't, want anyone to be like, look at this witch, or connect them to witches.
Yeah.
So just like we were talking about with Appalachian, the Bible is considered their most important book to an Amish witch. There's no practitioner, and they always do all their spells with the Bible in their hand. So it's always funny when a lot of Christians are like, against Harry Potter and against this. It's like, no, you can actually use these books for these same things, The Amish do. Now, because of the witch trials and satanic panics throughout our history here in America, these Amish healers really became underground, even in their communities. Now, these healers now are typically women who have like multiple generations of witches in their genes. The teachings are passed on through their grandmothers, their mothers. Again, they're not writing this down. And kind of like we were talking about with our guest with shamanism, it's passed down, through their
very
genes.
Generational. Yeah. Ancestral.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Now, because most of these communities do not see these type of practices as like magic, it's not against their God. They don't look down on him. But they are kind of scared of the healers a little bit, because they do say that it can easily go from being about God in the Bible to being a satanic thing.
Yeah.
So they do shun them a little bit, which I think is sad. So I actually watched this little thing about them because they're very secretive about it. You can't even find a lot of this stuff online. Like, it was really hard to find any of this information. They actually go at night, like if their kid's sick or they're sick, they don't want their community to see them like going over to these healers' houses and getting like care. They like sneak about. And even the healers say like, sometimes these people will come with me and I help their children stay alive. And then they won't even talk to me the next day at church.
Wow.
And they act like I don't exist. So that
kind of sucks.
It sucks. And it really changed after the witch trials and satanic panics here. It wasn't always like that. They really did used to look up to these Barojas, but it's changed a lot, which makes me sad. Makes me sad.
They should be appreciated.
Yeah. But they're in all communities, it sounds like. So Amish go to these witches to cure things such as arthritis, asthma, bleeding, bone felony, cataracts, cysts, gallstones, insomnia, sinus, sore mouth, warts, and that's just to name a few.
What's bone felony?
No idea. But bone felony.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, let's look it up.
Felony.
You want to look it up? Let us know.
Your bones are felonious.
Yeah.
A bone felony is a colloquial term likely referring to a finger infection called a felon, which is an infection of the soft tissue or the pulp of the fingertip that can lead to a pocket of pus and intense pain.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Well, thank you, witches. That's awesome.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
Yeah. So how they do this is they actually recite charms, often in German language, that they incorporate religious, Bible verses and references to Jesus Christ, saints, and angels. Everyday objects and herbs are used in their rituals, just as making bags with, ingredients that they'll put around their neck or blowing on the infected area so many times.
It's just like the Appalachians.
Yeah. It's super, I love it. It's very indigenous. It's very, it's back in the day, everyone working together when the country first, kind of started becoming blended to see how we heal people. Mm-hmm. It's very neat. Yeah. So the practitioners also use gestures such as rubbing and massaging and incorporate Christian prayer in their healing through rituals. Very Reiki of them. Mm-hmm. The Amish witches do this not for medical purposes necessarily all the time, but also if someone just needs luck or is depressed or looking in love or in trouble. So they'll go there just for almost even readings. Yeah. They work with reading dreams. The Amish witches also view dreams as messages from God, and they'll take them as divine warnings from future events. So if someone has a troubling dream, they might make sure to get the individual to a spiritual leader, that needed, or try to give them the Bible verses that might help them in that time. Mm-hmm. So it's super cool. I never knew this about the Amish. I hope this is blowing your mind how it blew my freaking mind, because I was like, what? I did not expect this, and you're even cooler now.
No.
Right?
No. They seem so, like you said, strict and buttoned up, and they would be holding crosses up to people that would do that,
Yeah. And it sounds like I said, it's a little more of that, but not bad. Not as bad, because people do. This is a thing to respect. They do know that. Hopefully, if they give them a little more respect, they deserve more. Now,
respect them.
Respect them. Now, because they keep their community under such tight wraps, it's almost impossible to know too many specific practices. There is a movie and documentary about Amish witches, but I'm going to tell you guys that is not true. It's all fake. They added a few different things, but it's all acting. And they made it.
I was gonna say, I know that got popular, but I haven't watched it yet.
It's not
it's around, right?
It's all not true. It's a good horror story. They kind of did it where they try to make it look like a documentary, like the Blair Witch Project, but it's not real.
Sure,
not real. But here's some things that are very real that you might see out there that will kind of tell you. Which I didn't know this because I saw one of my neighbors have one of these on their barns, and I'm like, I wonder if they know that what these are used for. So you'll see on their barns that they'll have use of hex signs, which are colorful designs painted on barns that are supposed to bring good luck, protect against evil, ensure of a bountiful harvest,
I've seen those.
Yes. So a lot of those.
They almost look like quilts sometimes.
They are. They're exactly like quilts. That's a perfect way to describe it. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, it's made from the Barojas. A lot of Barojas will tell them to do that because, oh, you're having a bad season this year, growing your vegetables, put that on there, and then God will look down upon your farm type of deal.
I've actually seen that with the Appalachians too. I didn't mention it in my story, but it's sprinkled in.
Right? They're all connected so much, right?
Yeah.
They have their remedy of curing warts, which I thought was actually pretty neat. What they'll do is they'll take a piece of raw meat, and then by burying the meat in the ground, it will decay, and it's believed when it's decaying, the wart will disappear.
Ew.
Yeah. Another thing they'll do is they'll place an onion under a person's bed who is sick, and it's believed to draw out the illness. I see a lot of different cultures using onions to draw out things like putting in your sock, or just those.
I've heard of that.
I wonder if it works, because it's. I do believe a lot of these things work, because people wouldn't be alive if some of these things didn't at least help a little bit. So I wonder, who knows? Must be something in onions.
Just try it.
Yeah.
Try it.
Now, there are many believe that these witch practices in the Amish orders are occult bondage. Amish claim they're just native teachings that they use as their own, mixed with Christian, white people magic, pretty much. Mm-hmm. It's a mix. Yeah. And I love that they do give them credit. So thank you, Amish people. Now, when it comes to like Native American teachings with the rituals, it may be true. Like I said, a lot of this is true. When one of the biggest assholes ever, Andrew Jackson, actually ordered the removal of indigenous people from their own land, the Amish and the Quakers actually stepped up to shelter refugees and build their community with them. So like I said, if you notice with reservations, at least around here, there's a reason why they're right next to Amish communities and vice versa.
Yeah, they're allies.
A long history of allies.
Yeah.
Brings me to another fact, too. The Amish have a policy of not getting involved in the military, but they serve in, like, alternate duties during the war. Like, they'll help with, like, shelters, or help in hospitals, or help give their food to people. So they're very helping people. They do take that part of Christianity and really base their life on that, which is very beautiful.
Yeah, the compassion of it all.
Yep. And obviously there's a lot of bad stuff which will go into the future about Amish people and different things that have been bad for the community, especially of women. But when it comes to a lot of their things, they have done some good. So even though these practices have been subject to like controversy, with some of them believing like, it's not God that's healing them, but the devil, they just really focus on putting the religion into that, because Amish do believe as long as they have the Bible in their hand, they're protecting themselves from demonic forces. But they do say that some of the forces of bad does help people, which I'm like, okay. So like many witches, they have their superstitions too within their community. How we can, see a black cat, or maybe, a certain temperature in the sky, with them, but they have some really interesting ones. So I'm going to tell you them because I love them. So dogs howling at night. It is believed that if a dog howls outside the home at night, it can be an omen of death or misfortune for someone in the household. Ooh. I wouldn't fucking keep dogs around. I love dogs. I'd be like, oh, I'm not going to move my house next to a dog's.
No, don't need that howling.
Yeah. Birds tapping on the windows. So they believe a bird tapping in a window is seen as a sign that death is going to be with someone in the family also. So no birds in the windows, no dogs howling at night.
That's creepy anyway. Birds tapping on windows.
Right?
Birds don't need to be tapping on windows.
Yep.
Fuck out of here with that.
They also don't like when they hear the owls hooting near homes. Because it's believed that when an owl howls near a home, it could be considered a sign, of course, of pending death and bad news.
No hooting.
No hooting. So, like I said, I could barely find absolutely anything on Amish witches. I was so because I live by a lot of Amish people, thinking I wonder if I should just drive to someone's house and knock on their door. But I'm like, would it be rude? I was really thinking about it, because I'm like, how else would you know? I go in a journalist, I don't know. But I didn't. I talked myself out of it. But I did find a blog from an ex-Amish man named John Weaver, and he did say some interesting things. So he wrote, witchcraft is tapping into or using Satan's power. Definition is similar. It is the practice of seeking knowledge of the future. Many from conservative or ultra-conservative anti-Baptist groups have been involved in using unknown powers. So he's admitting that they do use them. It is often used for healing, braha, or telling the future, to cast spells, or about everything else. I would say that much of this has been practiced in ignorance, not realizing that the source of the unknown power energy. The Bible says that Satan is out to kill, steal, and destroy. We should not be ignorant to his devices. So he believes this, but he's an ex-one, and he believes all that was like very satanic. So that was one of the only
he ain't about it.
ex-Amishes I found about it.
Interesting.
So I'm like, huh. So
do you have a local Facebook group, like you can bleep out the county, you know, like a county Facebook group or a local town Facebook group?
Yep. That I run, actually. Boop.
Do you?
I do. I run my... Well, we didn't have one. We have a small... But now I have a lot of people on it. So they needed it. Yeah.
I've thought about making one for my local area, like the lake area, but specifically for like progressive folks and stuff.
You should.
Because, you know, they're hard to find. But I'm curious if you would post in there like about Amish people, like if anybody would step forward, you know, at least maybe Mennonites that have social media.
That's true. Well, I do, like I said, I go to the farmers market in the summer often, and it's filled with Amish families. But it's like, is it rude if I just go up to someone and be like, hey, you don't invite your barajas? Like, I know it's such a fixture in their communities, but at the same time, would that be rude? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, or maybe if you approached it as, like, don't have to tell me if you don't want to, but...
Well, I kind of want to approach it as like, hey, you know, I'm part Native American, and I found some really cool stuff on your culture and how it might connect to each other, because that's what I found so interesting about it, actually, when I saw it. That was the main thing. I don't think that's
a good
rude. I think that's like... I don't know. I think that's cool. I think that's super cool.
I think it's all about the way you approach it. I think you would approach it respectfully. And if they didn't want to talk about it, they don't want to talk about it.
Exactly. Well, I think it's better than me knocking on their doors, which I was thinking. So
that is probably correct.
Yes. So we are going to end our awesome segment on Amish witches by talking about the Chesterville witch. Have you ever heard of her?
No.
Neither have I, but I'm fascinated. So Chesterville, Illinois, sits in the middle of an Amish community. Now, Chesterville is a small town that no longer even appears in the map or the state. Like, it's very small. The only remaining residents of this town are Amish and, like, Mennonite-faith people. Okay. So, near a river, and I'm going to butcher the name, Kashka-Iski? I'm going to say this so wrong. Kashka-Akia. I'm going to spell it for you guys in case you want to look it up. Kaskakia. There you go. So
Kaskaskia.
Is that all it said? Okay.
Kaskaskia, maybe. That's how I'm saying it. Kaskaskia.
So this river is super cool because when you cross it, you cross this ancient one-lane bridge, and you'll find what's called the Chesterville Cemetery. There is a gigantic oak tree that takes over an iron fence. Under this oak tree is believed to be the body of a woman named the Chesterville Witch. Now, there are multiple accounts of her story. Now, the named was known as an Amish witch, and the date of her birth is unknown because her headstone is completely missing. Legend has it that over a century ago, a teenage girl rebelled against her Amish upbringing and spoke out against the treatment of women in her community. Now, because she had the audacity to question her religion, she was shunned by her community and deemed a witch, which could happen, right? Now, the young woman went missing, and a short time after she vanished, this woman's body was discovered in a farmer's field. So the authorities ruled that her death was from natural causes, which a young girl is not going to die from natural causes like that. Ridiculous. So the body was placed in a local funeral home, and people from all over the countryside came to view the witch's body. They were terrified she was going to come back to life. So, like, all these Amish people were coming in, like, seeing this girl to make sure she doesn't come back because they were scared of her.
Yeah.
So eventually they burned her body and they laid her in the Chesterville Cemetery under a tree. And that tree was planted on her grave so that her spirit would be trapped under the tree. Now, today this tree still stands, and many believe if this tree ever dies or is cut down, this witch's spirit will escape and take revenge on all the Amish people in the town.
Ooh.
Yeah. So a fence was later, that iron fence I was talking about, was placed around the tree, and this tree has become so gigantic, it's completely went inside of the fence. Like the fence is went inside of the tree. It's so badass.
Really?
I'm going to post
That's
so many
cool.
pictures. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So another version of this story is that in the year 1900, an elderly woman in front of her Amish community openly professed to being a witch and telling them she was communicating with the devil. A week later, she was found murdered in a nearby farm field. Now, the community was so relieved of her death that no one even bothered to investigate the murder. They're like, oh, thank God, the crazy witch lady
Oh, God.
is gone.
Poor lady.
I know, right? So the third version is that there is a lady in the mid-1800s that was a well-known healer in the community. Not only was she a gifted healer, but she had a great knowledge of spiritual magic. Now, like the witches we spoke about before, she would often make remedies with her patients from like plants and items she's gathered in the forest. Now, after a prominent member of the Amish community had died from mysterious death, the healer was accused of being a witch. Which is sad. Now, her accusers claim that she killed the man by either casting an evil spell or brewing a deadly concoction. She was soon tried for witchcraft, found guilty, and put to death. Now, according to legend, the accused witch was buried in that Chesterville cemetery. The tree was planted on top of her grave, just like the other ones, so she was bound to her grave. So, one of these three. So, I found a story, really cool story, from this blog online, and I'm going to share her name. It's Christie's Cauldron. Super cool website. But she went to the cemetery and she said, instantly upon arriving at the cemetery and visiting her grave, I noticed that her grave was adorned with brightly colored flowers that people had lovingly left her over the years. Despite the horrible things that have happened to her all those decades ago, I did not feel any sense of malice or anger. The energy around me actually felt quite peaceful. So people have accounts of seeing this Amish witch, the Chesterville witch, like walking near the cemetery, saying they hear her around that tree or around the graves. There are sightings.
Yeah.
There are also little tours that you can take during Halloween, where I think they do haunted tours around Illinois. And one of them goes there, I saw, which is pretty neat. But that is the story of the Chesterville witch. Was the only Amish witch that really has any history out there. But if it's any one of those stories, it's really sad.
Yeah.
So, but I love the bros, and if I ever talk to any Amish person about it, if I forget that, I will do an update for you guys.
Please.
Yeah.
Because I would love to hear that.
Right? But such similarities, right? The Native Americans came in and helped out, I'm telling you.
So many. Like a mirror.
Yep.
But, like you said, that's what happened. Everything's connected. Everybody's connected. Word travels. People move, blend.
The only reason a lot of these people are alive is because of the witches that took these teachings in this country and, helped heal their communities, from diseases and everything like that. So it's actually really beautiful. It's the only reason we're here. So thank you, witches.
Thank you, witches.
Thank you, witches. So because we are doing a witch extravaganza and we're a weird podcast, I wanted to find, what are some super fun, weird facts about witches that are out there, some true stories. So let's talk about history. So we all know and have heard about, the tests that they have made people take to see if they're a witch. If we do this to them, if we abuse them and they die, then they're a witch. All that shit.
Yeah. If she drinks water and doesn't choke, she's a witch.
Right? So I found some really interesting ones. So one of the most famous one is the swimming test. So some witches were believed to not have the sacrament of baptism, which meant you couldn't float, I guess. So if...
You would just sink?
Yeah. if you were baptized. But if you floated, you weren't baptized, and that meant you were a witch. So women were accused by being dragged to the nearest body of water, stripped naked, bound, and sometimes even had items attached to them, like heavy bricks. And they would be tossed into the water and see if they sunk or float. Guess what, everybody? Everyone sunk. So they weren't witches. So if you weren't a witch, you died.
Surprise, surprise. Yeah. Holy shit.
Right? So this custom was banned in many European countries in the Middle Ages, but it actually reemerged in America because we like to turn back time. You know what I'm saying? That's our thing here in America.
Oh.
We like to take old medieval shit back. So we brought it back during Salem's, even though it was illegal in Europe. One thing I never heard about was witch cakes. Have you heard about this one? Witch cakes.
No, witch cakes.
So in cases...
Makes me hungry.
Right? This is really gross, actually. So in cases of like mysterious illnesses or possessions, witch hunters would go take a sample of a victim's urine, mix it with rye meal and ashes, and then bake it into a cake. That's not the end. The cake was then fed to the pets of the person accused because they believed these pets were like familiars or animal helpers of these witches.
Mm-hmm.
And if the beast would fall into like a trance-like spell, it would tell them that they were witches. So if these animals, like a dogs, would get sick off these urine cakes.
Oh my God.
Witches.
Everybody's just so set up to fail.
Yeah. But let's be honest, like we're talking about these witch hunters. Those witch hunters sound like witches. They're taking people's body parts and trying to cast spells on animals. You're not the witch.
Pot calling the kettle black.
Right?
Yep.
Another one is witch marks. Now this one is super fucked up. This is when they would strip women in public for everyone to see. So it's police or witch hunters or whoever, weird fucks were doing this, were looking for what's called a devil's mark, which is considered a spot on the body that would supposedly change shape or color and was believed to be numb and insensitive to pain. If you had this devil's mark, you were considered a witch. That could be, guys, moles, scars, birthmarks, sores, tattoos, anything could qualify. If the examiner could just be like, nope, they have a devil's mark, and just kill people.
Done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
One thing prosecutors would try to find is the witch's teat. This was considered to be
the witch's
teat, which was considered to be an extra nipple. So if you ever had like a mark on your breast, like it could just be a little dot on your breast, that was your extra nipple and meant you were a witch. And that nipple was actually what you supposedly fed your familiars with, or those dogs and animals that you had.
From their witch's teat.
Witch's teat. I'm like, what? That's a thing? I thought that was pretty hilarious, but fucked up.
Oh my God.
So there are actual witch hunting books and instructional pamphlets that you can actually still find to like tell you how to like check these marks and how to touch them. And if they bled this certain way, that meant they're a witch. And examiners would actually like take like needles designed to like repeatedly stab these women to see if the flesh would bleed the way they wanted, which it always was.
Surprise.
Always the way they wanted.
Wow.
It was always. So super fucked up. These torture tests, I like to call them, were actually performed by well-paid professionals named prickers. All these dudes were actually just like con men that had like dull needles and stuff and would identify like fake witch marks to get money.
Fucking pricks.
Yes! Like our government in America actually were known to pay these people to torture women.
Wow.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So a common misconception is that most women are like burned at the stake. Like every time I think of like Salem witch trials, I think of like seeing women lined up at a stake for some reason. But in fact, no one found guilty in America, especially during the Salem witch trials, were ever burned at the stake in the colonies.
Really?
Never. It was actually not permissible by English law, and for some reason we're still following that law here. But one of the craziest deaths I actually read about during the Salem witch trials here in America was of a man accused of witchcraft named Giles Corey. He was actually squished to death by stones. Corey is the only person in U.S. history to be pressed to death in court order. So they just kept piling heavier,
Wow.
and it was court order.
Whooshed him.
Yes. So,
What the fuck?
right? America. So, yeah.
So cruel.
So cruel. So, yes, men are also accused of witchcraft. Obviously, it was mainly during women because it doesn't matter what time in history you go to, there's always people who hate women more. But they were called wizards, warlocks, or sorcerers. So, speaking of sorcerers, I have to tell you guys this. So, I went on this last weekend to a protest. I think everyone probably heard it, the hands off protest. It was in every state.
Yeah.
So we only had one counter protester that was like standing there with a big microphone. And he had this huge sign and he said we were all going, like, who was going to hell, which of course is all of us. And one of the people he was saying was going to hell was sorcerers.
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 He's like, all right, let me get my checklist out. Who's going to hell?
We had a good
Who
checklist.
do I got to fit on this sign? All right. Definitely sorcerers.
Right? Has to be on there.
Oh my God.
So let's talk about a few of these men because I never hear about these. You usually only hear about the women. So
Yeah. Let's hear about them warlocks.
Let's hear about those warlocks. So a few examples of men being targeted here. So during the Treuer witch trials in Germany, which lasted from 1581 to 1593, a total of 368 people were executed. Many of the victims were male figures, like high male figures in the surrounding villages, just as judges, counselors, priests, and deans of colleges.
Yeah.
In the Wurzburg witch trials that actually lasted from 1626 to 1631, 157 men, women, and children were all burned at the stake for random reasons, such as humming songs that were bring the devil to the town and just passing through town if they didn't know you. So just like we in America are practicing, like, we don't need evidence of crimes. Someone just comes here and we're just like, oh, you look different. Now we can just send you to a jail. It's always been like that.
Yeah.
This is just a new day, a new person. Switch the name from witch to another thing. Same exact thing. Don't need solid evidence. Just hate them.
Nope. Definitely not innocent before proven guilty.
Absolutely not. So during our Salem witch trials here in America, which is actually the most recognized witch trials of all time because of all the paperwork and everything we have on it, and because it's, I don't know, we kept good records at that time. The reason most people were killed was, I quote, on the basis that the devil and his minions were powerful enough to send their spirits or specters to pure religious people in order to lead them astray, which meant people that were in good religious faith were like going around saying, I saw God say my neighbor was a witch, and that was good enough for the American court to put someone as guilty.
Yeah.
As long as it was a good religious person that said someone was guilty in America, that's how it was done.
It's got to be the proper hearsay.
Proper hearsay. So we spoke a little earlier of those pickers or witch hunters. The pricks. So people in the Dizzy actually wrote a book completely dedicated to witch hunting, which everyone followed. One of the most popular books was from around the 15th century. The book was written by two clergymen of the Dominican order. Their names was Jacob Sprenger and Heydrich Kramer. Now, the Bible is what they quoted where they're allowed to, like, hurt these women or men that were accused of witches. The quote they would say was from Exodus 22:18 was, "You shall not permit a sorcerer to live." And they would write that in there, which meant that God told them anyone accused of the witch could be murdered.
Yep.
They wrote in a book, and I'm going to tell you how popular this book was and why people followed this so much. This was the most popular book of all time, second to the Bible during these times.
Yeah.
So they were scared of it, and they really looked to this book as like something we had to look up to. We also talked a little bit about this in our Pope episode when we talked about Innocent, which I freaking love Pope Innocent. Innocent took that book and actually made laws off that book.
Yeah.
about witches. So it's a thing that even the Catholic Church really brought in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Pope actually issued a papal bull, which was like their law at the time, stating many persons of both sexes, heedless of their own salvation and forsaking the Catholic Church, give themselves over to devil male and female, and that they affiliate in torture and dire pains and anguish, both internal and external, these men, women, cattle, flocks, herd, and animals, and hinder men from begetting and women from conceiving, and prevent all consumption of marriage. The moreover they deny with sacrilegious lips the faith they received in holy baptism, and that at the incision of the enemy of mankind they do not fear to commit and perpetrate many other abominable offenses and crimes at the risk of their own souls, to the insult of the divine magistracy. I'm just going to stop there because there's so much, but I'll say it in lamest terms, is that these people are going to affect our livelihoods, our women, our cattle, our farms. They are going to go take people and have sex. They're going to have these marriages, so we have to kill them, according to these books. Yeah, okay. And that was a law. Done. Thanks to Kramer and Sprenger, just two people, two pickers, who said they had God's authority to torture random people.
God.
So surprisingly, the last person that was executed legally, I'm going to say legally for witchcraft, was a Janet Horn in 1727. Horn and her daughter were actually imprisoned because of a neighbor's accusations. Her daughter escaped, but Horn was burned at the stake. Now, I stated legal because there's been a lot more people since then that have died. One woman we'll say is Anna Goldie, who is actually nicknamed the Last Witch because she was the last person who was considered murdered in Switzerland in 1782. Now, acknowledging their country and how fucked up it was, Switzerland actually exonerated her in 2008, which I thought is pretty cool, and tried to put that, past them in European history because it's all super fucked up how many people they murdered for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Now, these laws are in some of the books still in some of the countries, if you can believe it, even though they're not practiced.
Yeah.
Laws even in here in America. Actually, in 1944, a woman in England named Jane Rebecca Yolk was actually found guilty under those laws. 1944. But it's kind of funny why she was found guilty. She was convicted because she was believed to be defrauding people with bogus seances. So I guess it's kind of funny they took an old law and put that on a bogus seance lady. But some of them are still there.
Yeah. Interesting.
Right? So we can laugh at it now because it's all kind of fucked up. But I like to say history does repeat itself. We can look back and see how torturing and killing people is wrong. And we can always look back at history and be like, I can't believe we did that back in the day. I can't believe we had the Holocaust. I can't believe we did this. But we're still doing it. Again, just switch the name from witch to whatever minority you want to hate at the person. Because we have to realize over 80,000 people were killed in Europe alone due to just being called a witch.
Yeah.
After the Salem witch trials here in America, we always say that we will never do anything like that. How is unnecessary evil? But all it started at that time was with religious fanatics who brought up hysteria in people and made them hate their neighbors. Because at one time, just like we talked about the Amish Witches, they all got along. They all took each other's help. It took some religious fanatics to make people believe we need to hate these people. It was very political based, religious based, and very gender based. It is also worth mentioning that the pattern leading to acquisition and trial and conviction is a pattern that we see in modern culture today.
I was just gonna say.
Sounds familiar. It all sounds familiar, right? So how they actually stopped the Salem witch trials was not the government stopping it, you guys. It was the neighbors and people's towns banding together like small towns in America, saying enough and enough, and fought their government to stop people from burning witches and healers and doctors. So in recent decades, governments around the world actually started taking more action towards like the dark history of witch hunting, because there are still people dying today in cultures. So in 2023, an annual report from the United Nations Human Rights Council said that each year, hundreds of thousands of people are harmed in locations such as Africa, India, and New Guinea because of a belief in witchcraft.
Wow.
Still.
It's insane.
One 2020 UN report said at least 20,000 witches across 60 countries between 2009 and 2019 were murdered. And they believe it's severely underreported.
Wow.
Right?
Holy shit.
It's nuts. So some of the most shocking cases I found was actually one that's not too long ago. It was actually in 2010, and it was a death of a 15-year-old Christy Bamu in London, you guys. Bamu was tortured by his older sister and her partner for days as they believed he was a witch. On Christmas Day, Bamu was forced into a bath for an exorcism where he was drowned to death. In a response, the London Metropolitan Police actually launched something called the Amber Project in 2021 to address like increasing incidents of child abuse due to like religious fanatics. Again, are we seeing this very similar thing, guys?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sounds about
I was
right.
connecting it so much. Maybe it's because of where we're at right now. Maybe it's where we're at.
Yeah. Yeah, it's intense.
It's intense. But again, they stopped it because the people stood up to it. And actually, there's different governments now, such in Europe, Norway, Germany, and Spain, that have actually created like huge memorials, not to forget their history of what their governments did to these people, and actually got names out there and granting pardons, even though these people are gone. In America, they've even taken action. In 2023, Connecticut lawmakers passed a motion to exonerate the individuals executed by the state during the 17th century due to witchcraft. The motion was actually sent forth by grassroots people. There were descendants and groups that their people were murdered because they were told it was witchcraft. So the descendants of these witches are going out, and it's actually called the Connecticut Witch Trial Exoneration Project, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So good for you guys. Good for you guys.
Yeah.
So I want to end this with lightening some shit up because it was also dark kind of at the end there because I started getting into dark mode.
Yeah.
Ballet.
As you do.
As I do. So ballet was actually inspired by a witch.
Ballet?
Ballet, the dance, ballet.
Really?
So according to legend, the first ballet performance was inspired by the ancient Greek witch goddess Circe. The first ballet took place in Paris in 1581, and the stage honored a French queen, Catherine Medici. Medici was in fact to be known to be a witch. So
Really?
pretty neat. So cool, Catherine. So that is my fun little random histories I kept finding, and I got up my soapbox a little bit, but
I love that.
thank
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was lots of goodies.
I know. Witches.
Tons of goodies. Yeah. Oh man, there was just so many parallels all over the place between these two episodes.
And all these people are such healers too. It's all just people who are healing their communities. It really is.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, even if you think it's mumbo jumbo, even if like casting spells and stuff like that. But a reason people go to those people is kind of just to feel better. You know, even if it's mentally. If that's what makes them feel better, then go about it. Learn from each other. That's why I love mixing cultures. I love that we had that mix of cultures.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good melting pot, I'd say.
When after last episode, because it was such a connection between your stories and mine, I had to see if those two cultures, like the Amish and people in the mountains there, they ever mix, but I couldn't find anything.
Yeah. Wow.
Because obviously Native American was involved in both those, but I was like, I wonder, if the Amish ever got to meet them.
Are the Amish, because I don't know a whole lot about them.
Yeah.
Are they mostly found in the northern half of the country? Are they down here in the south?
Well, it is mainly northern. Like there's like Maine and the original in Pennsylvania. It's like That's where a lot of people live. That's like the main sect. There's still a lot, but it's mainly like where I live. It's like in rural areas, rural Midwestern.
Well, I guess
areas.
word could have gone up and down the mountains because the Appalachians run from north to south.
Yeah.
So you never know.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's not like it's written down history. Like Amish people are very strict about their history, and especially now when after like again the witch trials happened how long ago? A long time ago here in America. So that's a long time to try to erase that history in yourself. But they're still around.
Yeah, lots of oral passed down stories.
Yes, and I wish we got to know more. I hope I get to learn more one day. I would love to talk to one and see what
maybe you just got
he or she knows.
Turn Amish for a year.
Yeah, and it is male and females.
Infiltrate. Storm the gate.
Storm the gates. Just start blasting out when I come up.
Yeah.
Climbing to that motherfucker.
Ninja style. Climb that shit. All right.
Such a great movie.
That's good.
Did I tell you I made Courtney watch that? She never seen
yeah,
it.
you did. Did she love it?
Okay, good. Well, yeah, everyone loves that movie. It's wonderful.
Of course. How could
It's
you
so
not?
good.
If you don't, then, you're a loser.
Have you seen the Minecraft movie yet with Jack Black?
I did. We saw it on the day after it opened.
Okay, do you like it?
It was, it was wild. It made absolutely no sense, but it was fun. It was entertaining.
Okay, because my friends told me that they actually really liked it, and they went to see it. And Ella loves Minecraft, and I love Jack Black, and I love Minecraft too. But I was just like, oh, it's just not my thing. Like, it just didn't sound like something I like. But I've heard so many of my friends say it was good, so I'm like, I should just take Ella this week or something.
You should. She will like it. It's ridiculous. Okay. They don't take themselves too seriously, and it's ridiculous enough that you'll enjoy it, and Ella will enjoy it, and. Yeah, it's a wild movie. we all agree.
I'll take a gummy. I'll take a gummy when I go.
Oh yeah, that's what we all did.
Yep.
It makes no sense. Makes zero sense, but it's goofy. Like I said, it's fun. It's fun.
Well, Minecraft makes zero sense. Like anytime I'm like, I like Minecraft, but my Minecrafting could be completely different than anyone's. It's all you could do whatever you want. It just makes no sense. And Minecraft is kind of ridiculous. The game, it's like random unicorn skull. And you're just like it's just weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird one.
Yeah, that's kind of the movie is just like I said, it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's ridiculous. Jason Momoa is ridiculous in it. His hair is ridiculous. And I find him to be a very attractive man, but in this movie you're like, "Oh my god, you got to do something with that. With the bangs." And
I think I might be the only one that doesn't think that man's attractive.
I feel like it depends on
I get it.
would he like the role he's playing and what he's wearing. I love the man bun. And
I love
and
the
you know
man
me,
bun.
I'm not into big like super muscly guys. Like that's not my type, but I don't know, something about him. I'll be his Khaleesi.
Yeah. No, I don't know what it is. He seems nice. He seems like a nice fella.
He is. He's a very nice fella. I've heard he is a good man. He's a good person.
Yeah.
And Daniel and I both heard that him and Jack Black became super close while they were filming.
Did you see the sweater thing?
What sweater thing?
Okay, so Jason Momoa and Jack Black are doing a lot of tour, just doing the media circuit. And they're both wearing these cute sweaters, these sewn sweaters. And I guess before the movie was made, Jason Momoa called Jack Black and was like, I'm going to make a sweaters movie. What are your favorite colors? Oh. And he made these homemade sweaters and they're both wearing them. I'm going to find a picture so I'll show you. Everyone, I will
adorable.
post.
That's
it's
adorable.
so cute because I'm like, that's awesome.
I want to see it. I've also seen Jason Momoa wearing Tenacious D shirt during their media circuit too.
Yeah.
So they got really close during filming, which is adorable.
All right, you ready? Look at that cuteness.
Oh my God, that's adorable. They're so cute.
They're perfect together.
They really are. I could see them being best friends.
Yeah. So I thought that was cute that he made those.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is totally random. I don't know what made me think of it right now. On the swinging back to the topic of Amish folks. I showed you my favorite picture I ever took when I was in the Smoky Mountains. Oh my gosh. So Daniel and I hiked up to Klingman's Dome in the Smokies, and it's just the most beautiful view. It's kind of a hard uphill hike, but when we got up there were like 5 or 6 or 7. There was a group of Amish women all dressed the same in their bonnets, like traditional Amish. And they were all looking out at the view, dressed identically. And I took a picture of the back of their heads looking out at the view. And it's just the coolest picture. Like, I wanted to find these women. Like, I wanted to start like an internet, like make it go viral, like find these women because they need to have this photo of themselves.
Oh,
like,
well,
it's
guess
so
what?
sweet.
Amish people don't keep photos of themselves. They're very anti-photos.
Well, it's the back of their heads.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if they do it. Like, I don't know if you know this, but yeah, they don't take pictures. There's no pictures of their families, nothing. Even their dolls, like little girls have dolls. They have dolls without faces.
Really?
So there's no faces like painted on them. It's just plain white. It's called an Amish doll. It's because they believe like it creates, being vain. They don't have mirrors in their house. Very anti having any mirrors, so they don't look at themselves.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe they don't want this picture of themselves, but I think it is the coolest picture.
That sounds cool.
I'll send it. I'll share it with everybody because it's really neat. It's really neat. Anyway, just reminded me of that.
Yeah.
So, okay, I have a little thing to go into here. A little mini story, a little sidetrack
A little
thing.
dance. I like a little dance going into it. I'm feeling it. Let's do this.
I got like the Conan like string dance.
Yeah. I'll take a little hit of bowl while you're doing that.
Yes.
Boop, boop.
Okay, so not long before recording our last episode, that's in the last 3 weeks here, I couldn't stop thinking about that the witch that I had talked about in the first episode. Remember, we couldn't figure out how to say her name, and Google told us it was Hecate. I was like, Hecate.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, that sounds ridiculous. I feel like some people say Hecate, some people say other things. Anyway, I couldn't stop thinking about her. Like, I felt just this pull. Very similar to how you felt with Lilith, I think. Yeah. And I just couldn't stop saying her name in my head. And even though I knew Google was like, it's pronounced Hecate, in my head, I kept saying it, Hecate. Like it was almost like somebody was telling me, like, this is how you say it. I just kept repeating it. And I was like, I couldn't get it out of my head. So I was like, all right, I'm going to learn a little bit about her. And I was laying in the dark, and I felt compelled to like pull a tarot card. So I pulled a card, and like, I'm telling you, I was in the dark. Like, I had my TV on, but it was dark. You couldn't see anything. So I took a picture of my tarot card, and I saw that it was the World card, which I've never actually pulled this card before. And honestly, like, I couldn't believe like how much it was resonating at the moment, what it meant. And so I had just finished watching sort of the history of Hecate, and I just want to read you how my 5-cent tarot deck defines the World card.
Okay.
So this card is about completion and manifestation, represented by the entwined snakes, which is one of her symbols, by the way, as symbols of creative life force, immortality, and healing. Together, they speak to the duality of balance of the polarities necessary to strike perfect harmony in life. The message here, at last everything is coming together and fulfillment is yours. So it's a great card to pull. Especially, I'm going through a lot of nasty shit right now, and it just like, it felt like, hang in, like there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel, like shit's going to work out.
I totally believe it is. Yep.
And it just, it felt really apt for her. And especially with snakes being her symbol. It's just like, I don't know. It just felt strange. So I actually sent you this picture, and I was like, what do you see?
Yep.
Remember?
Yeah.
So when I took a picture of my tarot card, obviously in the dark, so my phone used a flash. So I use live photo all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went back to look at the picture of my tarot card, I long pressed to see the live photo.
Mm-hmm.
And it in the quick millisecond between the tarot card and the flash was this like purple flash of screen. And I completely saw a face.
What that was, huh?
That's what that was. That was my tarot card.
Wow.
I didn't move. My
right.
hand didn't move. And I can't find anything in that tarot card that could be misconstrued as a face.
Mm-hmm.
And I will post it. I mean, it's very clear, like green eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I see a nose outline and a face. And I was like, holy shit.
I remember. What did I say it looked like?
You said you saw like an eye for sure. Like you saw a person, I think, a face.
Yeah, I'm going to look at it again.
Yeah. Like I immediately almost, like it felt validating, if that's the right answer. And I'm not one of those people that see faces and things and everything. There's a word for it. Pareidolia. So pareidolia is a psychological phenomenon where people perceive likenesses and patterns and random images like faces and animals and objects, kind of like seeing things in clouds.
Yeah.
You know, it's called pareidolia. And I'm not one that happens to a lot. No. You know, I don't see it. I'm like, oh my God, there's a face there. And I actually see that a lot when people post in paranormal groups. They'll be like, does anybody see something in this crinkle of fabric? And they'll be like, I see the devil. And I'm just like, you guys, it's a crinkle of fabric. I don't see anything.
I'm going to go in those paranormal groups, and anytime someone asks, I'm like, I see the devil on every single one.
It happens so much. So much. Oh. Or people that see like lens and like solar flares and photos and they're like, oh, it's an orb. I'm like, dude, that is a solar flare. I'm actually fairly critical of pareidolia.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that to tell you, when I saw this face in my picture, in that flash, in that image of my tarot card, like I was feeling something, like something in my bones was like, this is not just pareidolia. Mm-hmm. So anyway, who is Hecate? Yeah. Let's cover her briefly. You did a little thing on Lilith. You felt a pull to her.
Absolutely.
I'm feeling a little bit of pull to Hecate.
Let's see it. Let's see your witchy that seems to be coming out. Yeah.
Yes. So she is the ancient goddess of magic, witchcraft, and the night, of the moon, the spirits, crossroads, and necromancy. Her teachings center around finding the light in the darkness and focusing on shadow work to find your true self. She is known to easily cross beyond the veil and is thought of as a guide to souls that are crossing over. So let's sort of start at the beginning of her story. That's kind of just a brief snippet of her as a whole. If you had to explain her briefly, that's what I would say. So Hecate is one of those fascinating figures from ancient Greek mythology, and her origins are a little bit murky, which is really not that unusual for ancient deities. Yeah. Some scholars believe that she may have roots in earlier pre-Greek cultures, maybe even tracing back to the ancient like Near East, while others actually link her to the Titans. So you never know. Take it or leave it. Yeah. Who knows where she really began. So Hecate's name itself is thought to derive from the Greek ekein, meaning to be able, which is highlighting her powers and her abilities, guiding and being able to help and all that sort of thing. So unlike many gods and goddesses who were strictly identified with like one domain, Hecate was multifaceted. She was considered a protector of the household, a goddess of magic, and a guide for those souls in the afterlife, like we talked about.
That's super cool.
So it's super cool.
I always think about because I always talk about channeling Eric all the time. Channeling Eric. Eric is actually someone who's passed who helps people when they pass away. That's the whole thing. And he's pretty much like the middle ground between doing these, medium things. And I'm like, God, if I want that job. Like, that's what I want to do.
That sounds kind of neat.
Doesn't that sound neat?
Like, I want to be a guide.
I want to be a guide. Like an after death guide. Be like, what's up, guys? Oh, this is the lounge.
This is the lounge.
Yep.
Coffee's from 2 to 4.
Yep. I'd be a great hostess.
I think you would too.
I would.
I think that you should shoot for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
So yeah, she's a badass to say the least. In ancient texts, she pops up in a number of important places. One of the earliest mentions of her can be found in Hesiod's Theogony around the 8th century BC. So we're talking way back there. This is where she's described as being a powerful goddess who emerged from the primordial chaos. Hesiod refers to her as an ally of Demeter, which also ties her to like the mysteries of life and death. Now, one of the more defining moments in Hecate's mythology comes from her connection to the Titaness Demeter during the myth of Persephone. And I know a lot of people are familiar with Persephone. It's one of my favorite mythological stories, by the way, like if you don't know it.
I don't even know it.
So Persephone was abducted by Hades and brought to the underworld. And it was Hecate who helped Demeter, who was Persephone's mother, in the search for Persephone. So Hecate guided Demeter by lighting the dark path with her torches, which signifies her role as like this protector and the guide during tumultuous times. And it really solidified her position, like not just as a goddess of magic, but also really as a comforting figure during moments of despair, despite some who think her nature is like purely dark. Like she's just an evil goddess. Like she's a protector and she's all for women.
I think that's kind of like even when we talked about the Amish witchcraft, how they say like there is darkness in there, you know, because you kind of need both. You do. You just do in life.
Yeah.
I know that.
Where there's light, there's dark.
Yep. Exactly.
Yep.
That's just that whole story made me miss the show Chaos with Goldblum and
I didn't actually see that.
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
I know it got canceled right away. So like I was like, I don't know if I want to start it if it got canceled.
It's one of the best shows I've ever seen. It's going to devastate you that it's not going. The only thing I can think about is like Picking Daisies. Did you ever see Picking Daisies? That was another one. Heroes.
Pushing Daisies?
Pushing Daisies, yes.
Pushing Daisies, okay.
Like these certain shows where it's just like, oh no, you will love that show. It's all Greek mythology. It's hilarious. It's wonderful. The fact that it canceled makes no sense. Because it's Netflix.
Sucks.
Netflix sucks ass.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
But guys,
so it's good enough that it's worth the devastation to feel the joy of the show.
Just like Pushing Daisies, guys. It's Pushing Daisies, right? Yeah, that's such an old. It was kind of like that with me with that show where it's like, you were so good, what the fuck?
That was an old show. That was way back.
That's the only way I can think about this one is like connecting to that city. Shitty.
Okay.
But go see it.
Shitty. Okay. So let's fast forward a little bit. You're going to find Hecate in a lot of the Eleusinian mysteries, which were the secret rites held in ancient Greece surrounding the worship of Demeter and Persephone. And Hecate had a really crucial role in these mysteries. She embodied the concept of duality, again, as the bringer of light and dark into places, as well as being associated with the very fear of the unknown. So she really transformed and adapted over time based on who's talking about her, where she was,
just
yada,
like
yada,
Lilith,
yada.
Same name, but just coming different histories. And if it is an actual, because again, we don't know, an actual spiritual being, they're probably who they need to be at that time in history. If you think about it, who they're showing up to, or stories, you know? Who knows?
Yep. Yeah, so by the Hellenistic period, which was before the rise of the Roman Empire, her worship really expanded. She began to be depicted in art and literature a lot more frequently. You may have seen some famous images of her and not known that it was her. It often shows her with 3 heads or bodies that each face a different direction.
Oh, yeah. I feel like that sounds familiar. It's not Medusa, but yeah.
It's not Medusa. They're all facing a different direction, just 3 faces. And that really symbolizes her ability to see the past, the present, and the future. And it also ties into that notion of crossroads. So as we enter the Roman period, Hecate's influence continued to grow, and the Romans adopted her into their pantheon. So during this time, images of her really became a lot more intricate, reflecting like the evolving perceptions of the divine feminine. She started to be associated with witches and the practice of herbal medicine, further tying her to that mystical and like the occult. That's when people really started thinking of her a little bit more as not only as the divine feminine, but a darker side. But again, dark and light, yada, yada. But interestingly, it was during the Renaissance, particularly during the 15th and 16th centuries, that Hecate saw a resurgence in interest. Scholars and mystics began to explore ancient texts, and her association with witchcraft really drew a lot of people in. So this period introduced her to a wider audience, which started to align her more with the idea of the wise woman, like an archetype of female power and knowledge. So like I said, like she's really changing. There's lots of different
what she's
sides to her.
Time. Yeah.
Yep. Now, if you've ever dipped into modern pagan practices, especially Wicca, you'll see Hecate's influence there too. And we'll get into more of all of that in it. I'm sure we'll have another witches episode. We'll cover Wiccans and sort of the stuff that you might picture more when you think of a witch. But many Wiccans honor her as a symbol of the triple goddess archetype, embodying the maiden, the mother, and the crone. She's seen as a beacon of empowerment, showing the strength of women in a world that often really just says a big fuck you to us. Because let's be honest, if you have a vagina, you're a witch.
You're a witch.
You're a witch. She's got a vagina. Check her panties. So she's got her ties to magic and the moon. She serves as a reminder of the cycles of life and death and rebirth, which really resonates deeply with a ton of witches and just spiritualists today. You don't have to be a witch to see something in Hecate,
Well, I believe we're all witches and wizards if we want to be. I believe, it's all in our head.
Sorcerers.
You're sorcerers. Look at that hands-off guy over here.
Yep. Yeah, she really is the balance between life and death and darkness and light and the seen and the unseen. And for some reason, I'm just so fucking drawn to her, and I don't know why.
Oh, you haven't figured out why, huh?
Well, I think some of her teachings are focusing on things that I've always felt drawn to begin with, like shadow work and the afterlife. Yeah. Like, I really feel like shadow work is something that I've thought about dipping my toes into, but I'm a little, I don't want to say hesitant, but I'm nervous too, just because it's a lot of work. I mean, you're digging up some nasty shit, but you have to do that to get to the core of your being. And it takes a lot of energy. And as you know, fucking everyday life, being a mom, working at it's like, do I really want to start something like that? Like, it's a journey and I have to stick with it. If I'm going to open it, it's like you're opening a can of worms, but you got to dive in. But I'm fascinated with it, and obviously the afterlife. And
something's trying to draw you to it.
Something is. Yeah. So I don't know. So I've been reading about her and feeling this draw, and I took that picture and I got the card and was reading about her, and people tend to honor and invoke her on the dark moon. She's associated with the dark moon, and the next one is on August 23rd. So may think about just setting up a little altar, a little offering, raising an altar, and just doing some blessings and prayers. Some of her offerings are wine, honey, garlic, fruit, flowers, and moonstone.
Oh, I like this bitch. That sounds good.
I know.
I love wine and garlic.
It does. Sounds like a great spread.
I know. I'm just like, nice. I would love to offer me all those things. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So that's a little bit about Hecate, and she's really fascinating. I recommend looking into her a little bit more. There was even it was so weird. So there's a YouTube channel that is, so when I go to bed, a lot of times I turn on like lucid dreaming, different hertz and decibels music to fall asleep to with the screen on black. It'll be like black screen. induce lucid dreaming music. And I never do because I'm bad at that and I'm bad at meditating,
No,
but
I
it does
wanna
help me
do
fall
it.
asleep. Oh my
I've
God,
never
it helps
done
me
it.
fall asleep so quick. And it helps Daniel too. He'd be like, this puts me out in like 3 minutes.
Really?
Um,
Okay.
And there was one that was very similar sounding with the tones and the different hertz levels. And it was to sort of invoke Hecate, like during your sleep and just kind of.
Oh.
So I put that on that night, fell asleep very quickly, fell asleep really deep. And then I woke up, and you know this about me. I don't know if I've talked about it a whole lot, but I used to have a lot of night terrors, which are different than nightmares. People get these mixed up a lot. So night terrors are, it's not the same thing as, what's it called when people can't move, when they're seeing stuff and they can't move. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know. The
We've
name
had
for it, but I
listener
know what you're
stories
talking
about it. Yeah. Well, anyways, it's not that. I can move freely. In fact, I do quite a bit. So it's this weird space where have just fallen asleep or I'm waking up and I'm conscious. My eyes are open and I'm looking.
I've had those. Yeah.
And I'm seeing and I can move. But I'm seeing things. So like when I was young, it used to be like giant spiders coming down from me from the ceiling. And I would get up and I would run or start screaming and I can reach out and I can't, obviously I'm not touching anything, but I'm awake, you know?
Well, I've never had anything like that. That sounds terrifying.
I used to have it all the time. It happens a lot to children, but it's rare that it follows you into adulthood. And a lot of times I think it's triggered by stress. My dad used to think it was triggered by something more spiritual. He'd be like, are you sure that that's a dream that you're seeing? Like I would wake up and I'd see like floating heads in front of me and I'd reach out. A lot of times I'm not scared though. Like the only time I've really been terrified is like the spiders. A lot of the times I'm very conscious of what I'm looking at and I want to investigate. Like I start reaching out and trying to touch or talk to it.
Are you aware that you're having, like how I said, like when felt like I was visiting my grandparents at a table, like I was aware that I am dreaming right now. I'm aware I'm moving around. I guess maybe I did have that because I was like being able to move and was like, hey, am I dreaming? Like, am I dead? Like, it's like I'm aware it's happening, but it's weird.
Yeah, because I mean, like I'm literally awake. My eyes are open. Like if Daniel was next to me, he would see me with my eyes open, looking very awake, but talking to something and trying to touch something that he can't see.
But do you think you're not scared because you know you're dreaming? Like you're saying, like, I've had this happen before. I know why this is happening.
Probably. I think I'm aware that, I'm having a night terror right now. What am I seeing right now?
Yeah.
So it has followed me into adulthood, but I don't see it as much anymore. Like I used to have it maybe once a month, maybe. Sometimes it's been like once or twice a year. But that night that I put that on, I had one and I looked up at the ceiling and I don't know I still don't really remember what I was seeing, but I talked to something up in the ceiling. It was like a presence was there and I was reaching out to it. And then I like kind of snapped out of it within like 30 seconds.
Oh, dang.
But it was weird that happened all within this one night of reading and having these experiences with Hecate. So I don't know, maybe it was her.
Yeah. Who knows? You have to go with the moon, figure out, check it out.
Yeah.
See, play with it.
My dad is going to listen to this episode and be like, bitch, you need to stop right now and talk to Jesus.
He doesn't like,
He's
doesn't
gonna
like that
hate
nonsense.
This. He's going to hate. I think he stopped listening because we do talk about stuff that he's like, I don't need to know this.
That's why my sister didn't even get past the first episode. She's like, nope, I feel like I'm reading your journal. And that's an episode about my dad. She knows the story.
I know.
It was like reading my journal. I give her respect because if her journal was in front of my face, I'd read all of it. Because, as you guys know, I would read all that shit. I'm too snoopy. Oh, yeah. I'm too snooky.
You're Snoopy.
Snoopy.
Charlie Brown and Snoopy.
I know, but, yep. Easy.
Yeah. It's
cool.
Wild. We are digging in deep on some of this stuff. We will have a V3. who knows what that topic will be. Like I said, I'm sure eventually we will be getting into more like Wiccan stuff, and the occult. But yeah, this is a fascinating topic, and I think I feel so interested and connected to it because, I mean, I mentioned it earlier. Was it even in the last episode? It might not even been the witches episode where I was like, I thought it was a little baby witch. My mom caught me with the witch book I bought at Barnes and Noble, and me and Melissa were making incense in the woods at a cattails and thinking we were invoking a spirit and bringing rain. Yeah, exactly. So I've always been just wanted to be a fucking witch.
I would like make potions in my desk, and me and my friend, I had like one friend for like a few years. His name was Jack. We're like little nerds, but we would make potions in my desk. And like just little, little mini witches. Just little mini witches.
Yeah.
We were talking about like last episode. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I would really love to be able to be like, I want a fucking Harry Potter. I want to like fly and move shit and stuff like that. Like, I don't know if I could do that. Like, I don't think that's, I don't know. Who knows? Who's to say what's real and what's not? Some people think witches, it's like, oh God, that's not very realistic. But is God realistic?
Yeah.
How is that any more ridiculous sounding than this stuff?
Yeah. It's not at all. And it's just throughout history. And it like I keep saying, witches helped keep us alive. Like, we're alive because of those beliefs and those teachings and everything like that. I don't know. It's a wonderful thing. You don't have to think of like a witch, like, oh, a girl in a hat, like the little witch hat and stuff. It's not like that. Well, at least not to me.
Yeah. And it's not all the dark sort of occult stuff.
No.
We're not all drawing. It can be, but we're not all. It can be anything
you want it to be.
Yeah. I keep saying we're not all like I am a witch. We're not all like this, but
you are a witch. We're all witches.
We all are. Mm-hmm. Well, that brings me to my next segment. Ooh. What kind of witch are you?
Oh,
let's take the quiz.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna give you the quiz.
Okay.
So we're gonna see what you are, and then we will post this for everybody else, so everybody else can take it themselves. Yeah. It should only take 2 minutes, it says. And I already took mine. So,
okay.
Are you ready? Let's see what kind of witch Dini
excited.
Is. Okay, so take a deep breath. Clear everything out. I'm going to put you in some scenarios and just tell me which one resonates with you the most, okay?
Yep.
Here we go. All right. At the first light of dawn. Blah, 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 blah.
Relax.
Took you out of it. Took you out of it right away. Okay. All right. Take a deep breath. Okay. As the first light of dawn creeps through your window, how do you embrace the new day? Do you A, make a homemade tea? B, have a long shower or bath? C, have a walk in the garden or park? D, meditate or have solo reflection? E, craft a small talisman or charm for the day ahead? Or F, observe the sky? Now, you could do all of things, but this is what is the first thing you would do.
I know, I have multiple. I'm like, well, the weather. If I got to pick and like what my most thing is, I love to go out in the garden in the morning. I'm such a morning gardener.
Walk in the garden? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to guess homemade tea for you.
I do. Okay. That's what I was saying. Between winter, it's always tea in the winter. But in the summer, I love going outside. I make my space. I like getting my dirt.
All right. So we're going to go with a walk in the garden. All right. Next question. In moments of leisure, where does your spirit wander? A, cooking up a good meal. B, swimming or water sports. C, tending to the garden. D, staring at the moon and the stars. E, creating potions with a personal touch. Or F, exploring online and playing on consoles.
Ooh. A couple of those too. I'm going to go to garden again.
Garden?
I love my gardens.
Yeah. Mine was staring at the moon. I love going out there at night.
Staring at the moon too. Yep.
I want to get Yeah. I needed like a hammock outside to just like lay and just bathe in the stars and the moonlight forever.
I know, I'm trying to figure out how to get a net around myself so I can be outside and not get so eaten up
Without all
because
the
I love
bugs.
it so much.
Yeah. But still have like clear view of everything. It's a challenge. I've been trying to figure out the same.
I keep trying to figure it out because it's so windy by my house, so everything wants to fly away.
We just need like Snow White's glass coffin.
I know, guys, build us one. So we can just lay in a glass coffin and stare at the sky. It'd be perfect.
Build this one. Okay, ready? Mm-hmm. In this age of technology, how do you interact with these digital tools? A, are you always on the lookout for new apps? B, fine with the old ways. C, tech helps me to find new places and how to get there. D, feeling overwhelmed or distracted by digital devices. E, tech can help but prefer to spend time outdoors. Or F, love to create new things with my tech.
I would say the overwhelmed. Like
Overwhelmed,
it's too much.
yep. Distracted, yep. Feel that. All right. When gathering in unknown social circles, what role does your inner witch play? So you're in an unknown social circle. Do you A, seek meaningful, soulful conversations? B, quietly observe? C, take the center stage, energizing group activities? D, are you enthralling others with captivating stories and shared experiences? E, creating a warm, welcoming space, fostering togetherness? Or F, connecting with others through shared interests?
Ooh, there's a few of them. And I'm like, well, if I have a drink in me. I guess I kind of foster space. I like to make everyone feel homey.
Yep, that's what I would choose for you as well.
Yeah.
Yep, creating a warm, welcoming space. You're a host.
Yeah. I like
Yep.
comfort.
Yep. All right. When confronted with a labyrinth of challenges, how does your inner witch navigate the path? Are you A, analyzing and strategizing with a keen intellect? B, relying on the instincts that bubble up from within? C, turning to existing knowledge for guidance? D, embracing the unpredictable using inventive methods? E, seeking solutions from around you, picking for clues? Or F, Googling it?
Probably A.
A
sounded the
analyzing, strategizing with keen
Yeah.
intellect. All right, all right. All right. In the grand tapestry of nature, where do you find your spirit most at home? A, immersed in green spaces. B, drawn to the forces of the elements like air and wind. C, are you grounded in the practical magic and wisdom of nature's edges, whatever that means? D, appreciating nature's beauty as one of many life's pleasures. E, are you drawn to the mysteries and depths of the ocean? Or F, finding connection through the stars and cosmic patterns?
I was waiting for water. I'm a water girl.
Drawn to the mysteries and depths of the ocean.
I need to be in water too. That's why, guys, in the winter I'm all about my baths, and then the summer I'm in my lake. Just need to be sitting in it.
See that? See that? Mm-hmm. I'd like to think mine is immersed in green spaces, but for some reason I really get drawn into the elements of like air and wind.
Yeah.
Like when I feel a strong wind on me, something just takes me away. Calgon, take me away.
Yep.
Okay. As you unfurl your map of dreams and destinations, where does your spirit guide you? A, to places where food tells the story of culture and tradition. B, along the shores and over the waves where the ocean speaks. C, to quiet, untouched natural settings away from the crowd. D, into the vibrant, energetic centers of city life. E, to ancient historical sites rich with energies. Or F, to locations known for their mystical significance.
I like both the water, and then I love going to like old places.
Yeah, the historical sites, rich with energies. Yeah.
I might actually pick that because that I feel a lot when I go into like older things. It really, yeah.
Yep. Okay.
I'm drawn to that one.
All right. As the wheel of the year turns, each season brings its own magic and mystery. Which season resonates most deeply with your soul? A. Autumn, with its cozy ambiance and harvest celebrations. B. Winter, embracing the
You don't even have
stillness
to
and
go further.
introspective
It's fall.
moments.
It's fall all day. You don't even have to go further.
Fall all day. Okay.
All day. So much all day. It's the best season. I will fight everyone for it.
All right, but there's two
Okay. What's the other
that
one?
might not. So there's the winter.
Harvest, yep.
I'm just going to read them so people can hear them. So spring, blooming with renewal, growth, and fresh beginnings. Summer, charged with dynamic energy and the power of the sun. E is the transitional periods, relishing the change and the adaptation they bring. Or F is a balance of all the seasons, finding magic in each of their unique offerings.
Still autumn.
Yeah. Autumn. Okay. I feel
Absolutely.
the same.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. All right. This is definitely not 2 minutes, people, but still, it's nice. I like it. Hopefully my voice is relaxing.
So relaxing.
I should do one of those calm. They should hire me for the Calm app.
I know. We have the exact opposite voices. That's why it's the best. I have the most high pitch, like, ah! And then you have the calming. Coming with the calm.
Balance us out. All right, let's take another deep breath, everybody. All right. In the ever-expanding realm of knowledge and wisdom, how does your inner sorcerer absorb new...
No, I get it.
Okay. A, experimenting on your own, blending various methods and ideas. B, upholding the traditions and teachings passed down through generations. C, utilizing the vast expanse of online resources and digital tools. D, following a structured path with formal courses and established curriculum. E, learning through interaction with nature and its hidden lessons. Or F, seeking knowledge in the silence of solitary study and reflection. Like monks.
I know. I'm thinking probably now, just because how I am, I'm probably electronic. Like when I'm trying to learn things now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Online resources, digital tools, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. When the winds of discord stir and conflict arises, how does your inner witch engage in the battlefield of differing opinions? Are you A, crafting peaceful solutions that benefit all parties? B, stepping back to ponder and analyze the situation? C, holding your position with unwavering conviction? D, embracing and considering diverse viewpoints? Or E, seeking guidance from historical wisdom or ancestral teachings?
I would say absolutely D.
D?
Yeah.
Embracing and considering diverse viewpoints.
I'm going to know, I always have to remind myself I don't live in a world where everyone has to be like me. Like, there's going to be different of opinions, and how can we all get along? I always think that when people vote differently than me or act, I always try to, like, how can we all get along? Find a space where we're all human. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, next question. In the quiet corners of a mystical library where books whisper secrets of other worlds and times, what kind of tome calls to you? A, delving into the enigmatic and suspenseful world of mysteries and thrillers. B, exploring futuristic landscapes and scientific wonders. C, tracing lineage and lore through historical and ancestral narratives. D, studying the intricate details of rituals and ceremonial practices. E, immersing in action-packed adventures with heart-pounding suspense. Or F, learning about the intricate web of nature and the animal kingdom.
Ooh, I feel like I have a mix between A and C.
That's what I was going to say for you, too.
I know. A and C. Because I love thrillers, but I also love, like, historical and, like, learning stuff.
Mm-hmm. Which one, if you had to choose?
I'll do the learning stuff. I like learning.
The historical and ancestral narratives?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. In the realm of creative enchantment, where does your inner witch flourish? A. Weaving stories or creating digital wonders. Kind of what we do right here, right now.
Yeah.
B. Infusing love and magic into cooking, baking, or DIY projects. C. Enthralling others with theatrical performances. D. Painting or sketching the serenity and vibrancy of nature. E. Writing spells, enchantments, or mystical poetry. Or F. Exploring shadowy themes through artistic mediums.
See, there's so many. Is the
couple.
question what I do most often or what I want to do most often?
In the realm of creative enchantment, where does your inner witch flourish? So I would say, like,
Theater.
if you had to pick one to do for the rest of your life, where
Was C theater, right? Like performance.
C was theatrical performances, yeah.
Yep, if I had to pick. I would do that.
Okay.
That's like my love thing. Like if I could do that forever. And I'm not just saying just acting, but directing, creating.
Yeah.
I love that. It's my favorite thing in the whole entire world. I would do it more often as soon as Ella moves out.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
My number one.
I posed you as A, B, or D. The stories and digital wonders, the cooking, or the painting and sketching for you. I mean, I know theatrical, but that was not on my top 3.
Yeah, absolutely my number one. It's my number one joy. It really is. I just don't get to do it like I want to.
All right. So, in the dance between the self and the surrounding world, how does your witch's soul resonate with its environment? Are you A, navigating and thriving in the dynamic energy of city life? B, finding solace and wisdom in the quiet of forests and mountains? Are you C, cultivating life and harmony in gardens? D, exploring the mysteries and wonders of beach and ocean depths? E, drawing inspiration from the changing weather? Or F, seeking solitude and introspection in secluded natural settings?
Ooh, there's a few of them. I'll say mostly C, because I create my own gardens and environments.
Yep. All right. In the chorus of nature's creatures, great and small, where does your inner witch find kinship? A, feeling a deep and intuitive connection with animals, both domestic and wild. B, drawn to the symbolism and lore of mythological beasts and spirits. C, observing and learning from animals and their natural habitats with respect. D, interpreting animal encounters as spiritual signs or cosmic messages. E, nurturing animals and advocating for their well-being and protection. Or F, using digital technology to learn about and protect animal species.
I would say E probably, because of what I do.
Yep.
It's my job taking care of these little monsters.
That's a given. It's a given. In the grand tapestry of celebrations and rituals that mark the passage of time and honor the unseen, what kind of festivity stirs your witch's soul? Is it A, immersing in celebrations steeped in history and ancestral importance? B, reveling in the lively atmosphere of contemporary urban festivals? C, crafting personal rituals or intimate gatherings with close cyclical, what is that word? Embracing the cyclical celebrations of the natural world? E, observing celestial events and cosmic alignments? Or F, participating in community-driven ecological events?
Was C was the one where, can you say C again?
Intimate gatherings with close kin.
Yeah.
Crafting those personal. Yep,
for sure.
that's the host in you.
My hostess.
Yep. In the symphony of sounds that enchant our world, what kind of music resonates with the core of your being? Is it A, Boy George? B, I'm just kidding.
I was about to say, I'm like, oh, this is getting specific. Do you really want to hurt me? You suck.
You suck. Okay.
Oh,
All right. Let's get back into it. Take a deep breath. All right. Are you A, exploring the frontier?
You might have to ask me the question again.
Okay. All right. In the symphony of sounds that enchant our world, what kind of music resonates with the core of your being? A, exploring the frontiers of sound with experimental or electronic music. B, finding solemnity and ritual in the grandeur of classical. C, connecting with roots and traditions through folk or historical melodies. D, attuning to the elemental and ambient sounds of the natural world. E, drifting in the mystical and intuitive tunes of new age or spiritual music. Or F, enjoying a blend of various genres.
Very much F.
Yeah.
I love everything, just different types.
Yep. All right, so that concludes. Let's see what we got.
You're the Wicked Witch of the West. It's like the most super simple. It's just like the movie Witches. That would be amazing.
Funny. All right. You got the same as me.
Oh.
You got the Eclectic Witch, which is what we had resonated with the first version of this episode. V1, yeah. It says, congratulations, you've uncovered your inner eclectic witch. As an eclectic witch, you are a magical magpie, weaving a vibrant tapestry of practices from various traditions and cultures. Your path is a colorful collage of different magical systems, harmoniously blended to align with your personal preferences and goals.
Absolutely. That's both of us for sure. We knew that. We knew it.
For sure. Yep.
That's awesome.
Some of the characteristics of an eclectic witch are flexibility and adaptability, personalization of practice, obviously, diverse knowledge base, definitely, and an open-minded approach.
Yeah.
Some of your strengths and weaknesses. Your strengths are versatility, your creative expression, and your personal growth. And some of your weaknesses are you overwhelm.
Yeah.
With so many options and paths to explore, it can sometimes be overwhelming to find focus. And 2, lack of community. Since your path is so individualized, it can be challenging to find a community of like-minded practitioners.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah.
So true.
Yep. And then there's a lot more to this, so I won't go through all of them. So if everybody takes their quiz, they can read a lot more in depth about what you were given as your type of witch. But it says specifically for an eclectic witch, our kin, who we would get along with most, is the solitary witch, the kitchen witch, and the green witch.
That all makes sense.
Totally does. Yeah.
All right. Well, I said
So
it was
yeah,
for
I thought that was
Greenwich.
interesting.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to see what other people got for answers.
Yes, please. We're going to post, if you're listening to this, we have posted the link. Go find it on our socials and comment and let us know what you got. And maybe you're one of our kin.
Yeah.
We can start a witchy subgroup.
Oh, that would be cool.
That would be cool, isn't it?
I know, right? I'll start showing you guys my gardens. My gardens, which oregano is already growing for no reason.
Oh, nice.
I didn't even plant it. I know it's
I have yet to plant my sage. I went ahead and ordered micro arugula, microgreens arugula, like you told me to. I just got here yesterday, so I have to plant it.
Yeah, you'll have like fresh arugula every week. Cut. Just have to cut it really fast.
Cut. I'm going to love it.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Yeah, it's a lot less spicy. You'll like it.
Yeah. Awesome.
So good.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you for waiting so patiently for V2. Our next episode will not probably be V3. We'll probably spread that one out a little bit further,
Absolutely.
But we really wanted to just do a continuation of V1 because we just had such a good time. We had so much to talk about, and it would have been a 6-hour episode.
Yeah, I know we were in the middle of it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have so much too. We should wait. But I'm glad we did it in 2 parts. Ours our first 2-part episode.
Yeah.
It needed to be, though. It needed to be. It's too much good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So, well, I hope that you will join us for the next episode, and these eclectic witches are signing off. Bye.
She tried to get the last word.
Until next time, this has been Nicole and Dini with Girls Gone Weird.
Girls gone weird.